Air Force guy goes out.
Re-raise. Re-raise, 2 million total.
Here you go, Serge.
Well, he's going to 4-bet it to 2 million.
Could this push Muckle out? Oh, he's gone all in.
Cow.
And a quick call by Serge.
Well, both players have the same hand, as you can see. And I'm guessing they're both relieved that they have the same hand. Well, the only way one of them can win it is if clubs come up or diamonds come up.
Diamond!
And we're flopping fast. It's a 9-8-7.
Well, Pahuja on the free roll here if it would come 2 running clubs.
No club, please.
9 of diamonds on the turn. This is going to be a split pot. Doesn't matter what comes on the river.
Yeah, it's a 9. They're going to chop it up.
You're ready for the fight, you see? Ready for the fight.
Well, Sir, just having a blast. Why not?
Very nice hand.
Ready.
You call me with that garbage?
What
Ace high?
And you push all in with that garbage. You crazy?
7 million call? Snap it off.
Yeah. We play poker. Just for fun, I told you. If you want to do a move, I'm ready, to have a nice trip. I'm ready. But now I go to the war.
Yeah.
At the end.
I hear you, man. I understand.
The legendary Doyle Brunson won his WPT title at 72 years young. Serge could do it at 67.
This time, Muckle. Oh, wow, he's got another big hand. Ace-King. He'll raise to 350.
Derek goes out again.
Re-raise. For 1 million.
And Serge has a legitimate pair of eights, goes up to 1 million.
Wow, this could be a repeat of the last hand. A 3-bet, a 4-bet, an all-in, and a call.
Well, with 3-handed action, these hands are gigantic. Oh yeah, Muckle's not just going to call this. He is going to pop it.
How much more?
1,650,000.
All in.
All in. Call.
Serge has gone all in, and a quick call by Muckle.
It's Ace-King for
50,
Muckle.
50.
It's 2 8s for Serge.
50-50.
Everybody on their feet here in Montreal.
50-50.
Serge gets up, the cranberry man. The poker moment of his life. Can he get lucky? Here comes the flop.
Ah!
And an ace hits on the flop. And that's going to give Muckle aces. Bad flop for Serge.
And Muckle has him covered by just enough where he can knock him out. Will it hold? There's his brother. Also a poker player, I might add, his brother Benny. Well, the 3 of diamonds comes off.
Diamond!
Serge has a diamond draw now.
Diamond!
So any diamond
Diamond!
and any 8 will win the pot.
Is it possible Serge can hit his diamond and win this? No, not to be, as a 10 of clubs hits on the river.
Let's go! Come on.
Muckle Pahuja has taken this pot and knocked out Serge.
Okay.
That's going to do it for Serge Cantin. What a tournament he played, but you got to hand it to the guy. He was happy-go-lucky, played terrific poker, out tonight in 3rd place.
Now the cranberry man loses his cranberries right there, 234,000 richer. Let's go see what he has to say about his efforts.
That was a fabulous week for me. I am really an amateur. I live with a lot of emotion all the week, because when we play a poker a week with the pro, you have a good swing and downswing. That was the story about, That's poker sometimes is cruel, but it's a lot of fun, It's a wow. I got a lot of love around me, a lot of love.
Out in 3rd place, we say goodbye to Serge Cantin. It's now down to Derek Rosenbarger and Muckle Pahuja as they battle for the title. Heads Up Action is coming up next on the WPT.
This episode of the World Poker Tour is brought to you in part by DraftKings. If you like poker and sports, then you're going to love daily fantasy sports at DraftKings. Go to DraftKings.com, enter promo code WPT, and start playing today.
Welcome back to WPT Montreal, where the heads-up battle is about to begin between Derek Rosenbarger and Mukul Pahuja. While the Royal Flush girls Ivy and Angelique bring out the money, check out the conversation I had with both players during the break. I heard that before you took your seat here, you said that the title meant more to you than the money, but the money's getting pretty big now, heads up. Is that still the case?
It's still the case, you know. Yeah, it's 200,000 more, but right now it's about getting my name on this cup.
And what do you think your Air Force buddies will think about your run right now?
They're all excited for me, and yeah, they're gonna love this run and watching it on TV, and yeah, they're all cheering for me, rooting for me.
Mukul, you've been grinding the WPT circuit for quite a while. Now your head's up for the title. What's going through your head?
Just close the deal. Just finish it out. I just won a huge flip. I think I'm roughly 2-1 chip lead right about there, and one more big showdown, and it could be all mine. But you know, Derek's a tough opponent, so it's not going to be easy.
The WPT Champions Cup is primed, polished, and ready to add the name of Montreal's last player standing. So let's get back to the call of the game with Mike and Vince.
Well, there you see the chip count as we start out heads-up play. Mukul said he's about a 2-1 chip lead. Indeed he is. Derek Rosenbarger got a little work to do.
All right, down to the tables we go. Action's on Mukul this time. He's got a queen 6. He's got the button. Let's see which player will be the most aggressive with their cards, and Muckel's going to raise this to 350.
I think Muckel's going to do the most raising here, but we'll see. Here he's raising on the button with a queen 6 offsuit, but notice Derek has yet to pitch the 5 deuce that he's got.
Derek's an Air Force pilot, a non-professional player, got this tournament through a satellite. Now, can he change gears and compete with a professional like Mukul?
850.
Derek is going to raise this.
He is going to 3-bet it with a 5 deuce.
Goes to 850, Mike.
As you said, Vince, he could be changing gears and doing it quickly. We haven't seen them play this aggressive all night long, but there it is. Boom! A 3-bet with a 5 deuce. Derek taking down the pot.
I just see him pull in chips and get excited.
And there is Derek's fiancée, Becca, on the rail, rooting him on. What a week this has been for both of them.
Got engaged here in Montreal this week. Here he is playing for the title.
All right, Mukul, 27 years old.
Well, another queen high here.
And he has raised it to 350 this time, Derek, now with another stupid hand, 4 deuce of spades.
850.
Now, wait a second. He's going to try this again, Mike.
Well, it worked before. Why not try it again? 3-betting it up to 850,000 with a 4 deuce.
Very impressive. He has changed gears for sure. Now, if you're Mukul, you don't want to get pushed around twice.
This is more impressive. He is 4-betted here with this junk hand, just suspecting that Derek is making a move.
Mukul has gone over the top.
3.2 million.
I know, I can't believe I'm seeing Derek is coming back over the top.
Can he see his cards, Vince? Wow. Unbelievable. A 5-bet with a 4 deuce, folks, for the Air Force pilot to take it down. He has just put the throttle on dead forward and is just letting it go.
I came to Montreal because I satellited, got the trip paid for, decided to bring my girlfriend up here with me. Her name's Becca. 2 nights ago, we were walking around downtown Montreal, and right there in front of the Notre Dame Basilica, popped the question and gave her the ring. She said yes. She's been here every day throughout the tournament, seeing me go this far. It's been a fun week, been awesome.
Well, Mike, those little walks around town can be game changers.
Well, his timing was perfect on making the move with the ring, just as it's been perfect these last 2 hands with the 5 deuce and the 4 deuce.
Yeah, he is really opened up to a whole new level, and it's working. Derek Rosenbarger winning the first couple pots in the heads-up action. Okay, right back to it. It's on Derek again.
325.
And he's raised to 325. Mukul now with a king 10 of diamonds, but not going to raise.
Well, makes the call, so we're going to have a flop here. Oh, and what a flop. 6 deuce deuce. Derek out in front with 6s up, but Mukul with the flush draw.
And now Mukul has a 4 flush, of course. Big draw. But Derek's coming out to bet. 325. Now, what do you do if you're Mukul? Do you push now with your 4 flush?
Well, most people would check raise here with it. I would. And he is too. 775,000.
But Derek does have 6s up.
1.4 million total.
Wow.
Oh boy.
That's it is unbelievable. This pilot has just got it full speed ahead.
He has re-raised again. He's going to make Muckle pay for it if he wants to get there.
Well, I don't see Muckle going anywhere here with the diamond draw.
Muckle looking very intense right now. What to do?
All in.
That's what you do.
Call.
Oh,
Wow, the snap call by the pilot there with just 2 6s. He's out in front right now. Can he hold him? That's the question.
Come on, one time. One time.
Muckle knows the tournament, the trophy, the name on the Champions Cup, all the money going to his house if he gets lucky and can win this pot.
can he get it? Not there. It's an 8 of clubs.
You see how badly Muckle wants it. Just a king, a 10, or a diamond. He's saying, come on, one time. A lot of outs. It's a deuce. Derek has done it. And with that pot, he takes the chip lead.
Incredible! What a turnaround we are seeing on Playground Poker.
We'll be right back with more on the WPT.
Welcome back to Playground Poker in Montreal. The heads-up battle continues here on the World Poker Tour.
All right, there you see Derek Rosenbarger has taken over the chip lead here in this heads-up battle. The Air Force pilot is on cruise control right now.
Got in the tournament 3 satellite, a small amount of money. It's a dream come true. And right now, it's on him. He's got Queen, 10 of clubs.
325.
And he'll raise to 325. Muckle with ace-3, gonna call him.
And flops 2 aces, ace, 7, 5. He's gonna check.
375.
Now Derek's gonna bet 375,000. And Muckle is gonna call him.
He certainly is going to the turn. It's a jack of spades.
Muckle out in front with the 2 aces. He has checked.
800.
Derek bets 800,000. And Muckle makes the call.
Going to the river. Can Derek get lucky? Not to be. 4 clubs. Muckle checks.
Derek must be thinking maybe the guy's got a weak ace. Can I bet him out of the pot?
3.2.
Wow.
3.2 million. That's more money that's in the pot. That automatically draws your suspicion if you're a poker player, but still, how do you call here with such a weak ace when the guy raised before the flop, bet the turn, bet the river? The only way you can win this hand is if your opponent was 3-barrel bluffing.
And Muckle trying to figure out what the scratching of the beard means. Is it strong? Is he weak?
I'm telling you, folks, this is a tough, tough play to make. You can only beat a 3-barrel bluff.
That's exactly what the Air Force guy's trying to do here. Is it going to work? No, it's
Wow.
not.
Nice call.
Muckle has made the call, and he's going to win this pot. And let me tell you, the other guy's in the Air Force, but you better salute Muckle for winning that pot by making that call.
Nice call.
Oh, that is going to put Muckle right back on top.
Good call.
Beautiful call. There's Vinny, his brother, another great poker player. These guys are excited. What a turnaround for Muckle right now.
Some say poker is a skill, others say it's pure luck. But for one of our ones to watch, success equals how much time and effort you're willing to put into your craft. We'll see if this rising young star and professional best friend has what it takes to bask in the spotlight of poker glory in this edition of Ones to Watch.
We're the ones to watch.
I'm the guy. If you need something, I got it.
We're the ones to watch.
Ladies love money too, you know? Sometimes things go your way.
I'm kind of the life of the party anywhere I go.
WPT.
The thing I like most about poker is the freedom. At the end of the day, I think that's what's most important in life, is being able to do what you want and what you love.
Jeff Grouse is a really good poker player. He can switch gears really well. He puts a lot of pressure on. He's really good at extracting max value.
What's really been one of the biggest things for me is just to continually be improving and just working on your game, see what's working, what's not working.
Kid knows how to play, knows how to get it in, right spots. Good player, good friend.
Jeff Grouse, I mean, he's friends with everybody. Almost all the poker players that travel the circuit.
A lot of people, they call me PBF, which means professional best friend.
Professional best friend. Huh, I've never heard that before. That's hilarious.
PBF means you're the guy that you may not be someone's best friend, but you're in their top 5. Just means being there, always being around, anything you need, I have it. You know, I carry a backpack. If you need dental floss, gum, if you need something, I got it.
Yeah, he's always got a phone charger if you need, if you need a charger.
Want me to shake? I woke up lady had a shake.
Yeah, if you need to go run an errand, hey PBF, what are you doing? I'll go with you.
Nobody asked me to pick him up at the airport because I'm not gonna do it. I'll pay for your cab, but I will not pick you up. Sorry, unless you're Latin hot chicks.
If you're at a final table, I'll be there. If I'm not missing it, I travel, I'll get there, and I'm always reliable.
I mean, PBF is sad that Phil is getting more time with PBF than me.
It's coming effortlessly.
Antonio likes to, he jokes, and again, he takes everything overboard, but he says I have like 3 major clients, which would be one, my roommate, who's Michael Phelps, the Olympic swimmer, obviously, and then Bill Perkins. And Antonio also considers himself a client.
There he is, ladies and gentlemen. Jeff Grouse, professional best friend.
He's got some high-profile guys that are in his crew.
And I guess you could say, like, I am making a name for myself. In my opinion, I feel it's not, that's Mike's buddy, that's Antonio's buddy, or that's Phil Locke's friend. It's like, yeah, that's Jeff, he's a solid poker player.
I don't think he stands in the shadows at all. It's a game-recognized game.
No, I've never lived in anybody's shadow. I can't fit in anybody's shadow.
Literally every year, I've been getting better results. Now I feel like I am coming into my own. It's rewarding, it feels good.
Well, Jeff Grouse certainly one to watch, doing well out here in the World Poker Tour as well as on the Alpha 8 Tour.
Yes, some exciting players to watch out there. We will be continuing to follow them, but right now, the heads-up battle continues here. Andy's at 25,000 blinds, 1 and 200.
And again, Muckle out in front in the heads-up battle.
Derek, though,
425.
first to act on this hand. He's got a 10, 8 of spades, will raise.
Look at this. A 3-bet here by Muckle with the Queen 7 offsuit.
Yep, makes it 975, but Derek's going to see the flop with them. Who will get lucky? Well, there's 2 8s out there. That gives 3 of a kind to Derek. He's the one that got lucky.
Incredible. How high is this pilot flying right now to flop this hand?
And he's got Muckle betting it.
Well, it's perfect. You think your opponent's got aces? You've got 3 8s.
1.3.
You got a chance to win a monster.
Wow. 650 bet by Muckle. Derek going to make the min raise. Always a scary thing to have happen. And a quick call by Muckle.
Well, this surprises me by Muckle here. He's out of position. Normally you float when you're in position.
Jack on the turn. Muckle checks.
He's either going to check raise here or bet on the river if he's going to try to win this pot.
2.1.
And here comes the bet again for Derek. 2.1 million.
All in.
All in.
Call.
Muckle is going to make a big mistake and go all in.
Wow, and the snap call, and Muckle drawing completely dead. No card he can catch to win this pot. Just bad timing for the finance man from Penn State right there.
Have it. You just have it every time, dude.
So Muckle is absolutely crippled from that blow. Stay with us. We're coming back with more exciting action here on the World Poker Tour.
There is a lot on the line tonight at Playground Poker as our eventual champion will win over $500,000 and coveted Season 12 WPT Player of the Year points. Legends of Poker champion Jordan Christos and Borgata Open champ Anthony Zeno are currently tied for the lead. But tonight's champion will earn 1,200 points for their victory and jump into a 3-way tie at the top of the leaderboard. We'll keep you apprised on the standings throughout the season, but now let's get back to the action with Mike and Vince.
Well, has this heads-up battle ever turned around? When we first started, Muckle Pahuja had a 2-1 chip lead over Derek Rosenbarger, and now Derek has a 4-1 chip lead over Muckle.
Derek Rosenbarger looks at a 3-10.
500.
Nothing to write home about, but he's going to make it a $500,000. Muckle with just an 8-7.
That makes the snap call.
Yep, and the flop comes up 10-9 deuce. Open-ended for Muckle and a pair of 10s for Derek. Muckle checked.
450.
Derek bets.
Yeah, bets 450,000. Muckle going to make the call here.
Yep, hoping to strike lightning. Here we go with the turn, and he's hit it. 6 of spades. He hits the straight.
Oh boy, could be big trouble for Derek here if he's not careful.
Muckle checks again.
800,000.
Derek's going to bet it.
Well, whatever he puts in the pot, you can kiss goodbye because he's drawing dead here. Muckle with the nut straight.
All in.
Oh, and Muckle's going all in. Is he going to chase away his guy?
How much more?
Well, it's another 3.4 million for Derek to call.
175 million. I call.
And Derek with top pair will call it.
Nice hand.
I think that's a hand he could have got away from.
Nutter butters, baby. What does he have? He's drawing dead. He's drawing dead? Yeah! Come on!
And there's Vinny, his brother.
And we have a real battle again, folks. Certainly, this title up for grabs.
Nice hand, man.
Thanks, man. Cooler.
Muckle says cooler. I'm not so sure. I think Derek could have saved the last 3.4 million, but playing aggressive is what's got him a chip lead. He's not stopping now.
And he's going up to 50,000 blinds. 150-3. Muckle first to play. He's got queen 10 of diamonds, and he's raised it to 600,000.
Now Derek is 3-bet with 5 deuce, 4 deuce, every hand he's had. Finally gets ace high and just calls. Oh, and it may work out well for him as he's flopped top pair, 2 aces. His opponent's got middle pair, and both players check.
6 of hearts on the turn, changes nothing. Derek with aces.
750.
750,000. And a quick call by Muckle here with the 2 queens. You're just not going to think your opponent's got an ace when he didn't raise your pre-flop.
1.6.
Jack of diamonds on the river. Derek plunging away with the aces. 1.6, likes to get paid off, and he will.
Nice hand.
And a quick call by Muckle. So Derek wins a nice pot there with the 2 aces. So slow playing him before the flop, slow playing the ace high anyway, Vince. Pays off for him there.
Season 12 of the World Poker Tour is brought to you by ClubWPT.com, where VIP members can win their share of $100,000 in cash and prizes every month. ClubWPT.com. Never lose a dime playing poker, guaranteed.
At our last stop in St. Martin, we got to see Tony Dunst play his way to a WPT title. But that won't stop him from breaking down the action up in Montreal in this edition of The Raw Deal.
When you get down to a heads-up match in poker, the psychological element becomes as important as the technical. Don't get me wrong, the psychological element is always there, but there's nowhere to hide when only 2 of you are left, so you'd better be feeling ready to fight. Tonight, the mental edge should go to Muckle Pahuja because he's played for this kind of money before, while Derek Rosenbarger hasn't. So will the favorite steamroll to victory? Or will the underdog prove he has nothing to lose? Let's break it down. Now, although we've established that Derek isn't used to playing for this kind of money, one thing we can be sure of is that he's not scared money. With a small chip lead, Derek raises Queen 10 suited from the button.
325.
And gets a call from Muckle with Ace 3 in the big blind. The flop of Ace 7-5 gives Muckle a top pair he's comfortable check calling with, which leads to a jack on the turn. The turn improves Derek's hand by providing a straight draw.
800.
So I like that Derek fires again here on the turn, but Muckle happens to have the ace this time, so he calls the turn bet of 800,000. Now, it's on the river where we really learn what Derek is made of. When a harmless 4 lands, Muckle checks, and Derek fires out a bet of 3.2 million.
3.2.
Muckle naturally needs a long time to think things over, but eventually makes the call and is relieved to find his opponent is bluffing.
Nice call.
And while big hero calls always look cool, they often leave you feeling like you can't guess wrong. Perhaps that explains the next big pot between the two. The action starts when Muckle 3-bets a Queen 7, and Derek calls in position with 10-8 suited. When the flop comes 8-8 ace, Muckle follows through with a small continuation bet, and Derek min-raises that bet to 1.3 million.
1.3.
Muckle makes the call out of position with no pair and no draw, clearly intending to bluff on a later street. The turn is a jack, and after Muckle checks, Derek makes a bet of 2 million. Now Muckle makes the play he waited for and shoves for another 6 million on top.
All in.
All in, call.
Derek calls instantly and is pleased to see that not only is he ahead, but his opponent is drawing dead.
You just have it every time, dude.
Meanwhile, Muckle needs to leave the table and probably wants to leave the building after getting stacks in with 0 equity. If I had to guess why Muckle picked that spot for his bluff, it's because he didn't believe Derek would fast play trips on such an uncoordinated flop.
1.3.
That or just for a moment, the rush of confidence from his previous big call left him feeling like he truly couldn't lose, even in a spot where he literally couldn't win.
Well, Vince, if Muckle doesn't win this tournament, he'll look back at that hand and he'll say, why did I make that move then?
All right, back down to the money pit. Derek with about 17 million, and look at this, he's picked up a monster hand. Pair of queens.
He can't even get done stacking his chips and picks up this big duke.
600.
And he's going to bet 600,000.
Now Muckle has a ace-4 of diamonds. Pretty decent. Will he get out of line? Make a call?
All in.
All in, call.
He's going to go crazy with it, with a quick all-in and an absolute snap call, of course, by Derek.
Well, if Derek Rosenbarger's queens stand up, he'll be our champion. If Muckle outdraws him, he'll have about a 2-1 chip lead in this heads-up battle.
I feel good about this one, man. Like I said, I feel good about it.
Either way, man.
I want to keep battling.
The Air Force pilot Derek Rosenbarger on the way to taking home a WPT title. Here we go with the flop. And it's a good one for Derek. 9-6-3 appears.
5 diamonds for a little sweat?
No, sir. Don't need it.
Derek looking confident, standing tall. Here comes the turn card. And it's a 4 of spades.
Well, that pairs Muckle, but he needs an ace or a 4 on the river. Otherwise, our Air Force pilot, Derek Rosenbarger, is going to win it. A deuce comes off. Up, and away for the pilot. He is the WPT Montreal champion.
Hey, man, good game.
Good game. You played well.
You too, man.
You earned it.
You too, thanks.
Derek Rosenbarger, the pilot, just breaking the sound barrier as he takes home a WPT title. Congratulations.
Oh, Vince, you talk about flying high.
Here comes Becca. This is what you get when you take home titles. The pretty girl in your arms.
Oh, man.
I love you.
I love you too.
You're so awesome.
Yeah, I don't know, it hurts. It's so hard to get to this point. But hopefully I get another shot.
Well, we're with the champion of WPT Montreal, an Air Force pilot, Captain Derek Rosenbarger. Derek, I don't understand what this is for. Just an incredible performance, but also some good luck with Becca here. Never lose a dime playing poker, guaranteed. You got engaged this week in Montreal to get married, and then you take down a WPT title on top of it.
Yes, sir. It's been amazing.
Bellagio is the crown jewel of the Las Vegas Strip. And
engaged this beautiful girl, and then coming here and being able to do this.
Poker's elite have shown up looking to shine. The Doyle Brunson.
You know, it's just been an awesome weekend.
Well, just incredible. Congratulations.
5-Diamond World Poker Classic starts tonight on the WPT.
Congratulations one more time to Captain Derek. Well done.
Thank you, sir. Sir, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Lynn, back to you. Well, the crowd all stand.
Derek Rosenbarger, the Season 12 WPT Montreal champion.
He is circling the drain. They are going bare knuckles in the center of the ring.
Again. Join us for our next stop as we move from the City of Saints.
He needs the extreme miracle.
To Sin City for the 5-Diamond World Poker Classic at Bellagio in Las Vegas. For Mike Sexton, Vince Van Patten, Tony Dunst, Good evening, everyone, and welcome, Royal Flush Girls and everyone at the World Poker Tour. I'm Lynn to the beautiful Bellagio in Las Vegas. I'm Lynn Gilmartin. Gilmartin. See you next time on the WPT. Doyle Brunson. Over the years, Doyle's name has become synonymous with...
Well, the crowd all stand.
Derek Rosenbarger, the Season 12 WPT Montreal champion.
He is circling the drain. They are going bare knuckles in the center of the ring.
Again. Join us for our next stop as we move from the City of Saints.
He needs the extreme miracle.
To Sin City for the 5-Diamond World Poker Classic at Bellagio in Las Vegas. For Mike Sexton, Vince Van Patten, Tony Dunst, Good evening, everyone, and welcome, Royal Flush Girls and everyone at the World Poker Tour. I'm Lynn to the beautiful Bellagio in Las Vegas. I'm Lynn Gilmartin. Gilmartin. See you next time on the WPT. Doyle Brunson. Over the years, Doyle's name has become synonymous with
The World Poker Tour is brought to you by ClubWPT.com.
the high-stakes cash games that he still plays on a regular basis right here in the famed Bobby's Room. So it's no surprise that 5 days ago, players from around the world descended upon Bellagio and gave it their all to try get their hands on the title with Mr. Brunson's name on it. As players took their seats in the poker room, longtime Bellagio tournament director Jack McClelland, along with the Royal Flush Girls, kicked things off with the words he helped make famous.
Shuffle up and deal.
The 5-Diamond has a long history, stretching back to the first WPT event ever held, and holds a special place in the heart of many players, including last season's 7th place finisher, John Aguiar.
I feel like the Bellagio has been like the one focal point of the World Poker Tour over the last decade. When I first started watching WPT tournaments, dreaming about playing these things, it was the Bellagio fountains. It's got Doyle's name attached to it, and there's something special about the atmosphere here. It's like you see all the casual players, this is where they want to come play. It seems like everybody just picks this one on their schedule and likes to come out here.
Former ones to watch, Dan O'Brien got into trouble early with pocket jacks when his all-in bet was called by 2 players, one holding pocket sixes and the other holding pocket aces. No help on the board sent the pot to the player holding aces and freed up Dan's afternoon for about 5 minutes. One of the unique features of this tournament was its unlimited re-entry format. Eliminated players had the opportunity to fire another bullet anytime during the first 8 levels.
So yeah, that 10,000 lasted me about 45 minutes. Let's hope the rate goes down the rest of the day.
Dan was not alone at the cage, as player after player fired bullet after bullet to stay alive, including poker pro Brian Rast.
Well, I'm already in 30K, so that's pretty good for a 10K. And we still have, it's the 4th level, so I'm only halfway there. I probably won't stop rebuying, so whatever that means.
We would have to wait to see exactly what that means. Brian's good friend and 2-time WPT champion Antonio Esfandiari was on his 2nd bullet when he described what made this event special to him.
Well, I won it 3 years ago. I final tabled the year before and last year. So I really want to win this more than just about anybody. It would be great to come back for a 4th year and just really stick it to him.
When play concluded, the field saw 322 entrants take their shot, with 217 returning for day 2. Season 11 champion Kevin Eister was the chip leader with a massive stack of over 238,000. Those eliminated would also still have a shot, with registration open through the 3rd level of day 2. At high noon, the returning players took their seats, and some new players arrived to take their shot, including our own Mike Sexton.
I'm playing. The lucky seat right here. Nobody knows it. This is the one that's going to get all the dough.
Day 2, my 2nd bullet. I feel like a champion.
The start of the day also saw the return of players who had busted on day 1 and were firing another bullet, like Season 9 ones to watch Joseph Chong. After losing a big pot early on, Antonio Esfandiari was all in and at risk when his Queen Jack was called by the pocket sevens of fellow WPT Champions Club member Noah Schwartz. 3 aces on the flop left Antonio on the ropes, hoping for a Queen, Jack or the case ace. No help on the turn or the river knocked Antonio out of the tournament.
Jalen, until next time.
Luckily, he was steps away from the cage where he quickly re-entered. Elsewhere on the floor, Joseph Chong was looking for a new seat after firing his 5th bullet. And just before the end of the re-entry period, he fired his 6th. Joseph was one of 2 players in for $60,000, but they were topped by 1 player who fired the most bullets.
7. That's it. I heard from somebody who sounds like they knew what they were talking about that is the most. So I won the race. The race that dumped the most money into the prize pool.
With registration closed, the tournament staff released the official numbers. 449 entrants created a prize pool of over $4.3 million. 45 players would make the money, with first place taking home over $1.1 million. With his $70,000 investment, Brian Rast would have to finish 8th or better to show a profit in this event. As play wrapped up for the day, it was 2-time WPT finalist Jeff Madsen at the top of the charts with almost $400,000 in chips. He was followed by day 1 chip leader Kevin Eister. And out of the remaining 140 players, Joseph Chong was still alive with $12,000 in chips. Day 3 got underway with some players feeling optimistic about their chances.
Day 2 worked out well. I chipped up all 5 levels, so we got a shot here.
While other players lamented the hand they had been dealt.
Sorrel Mizzy on the right, Jason Kuhn on the left, Tom Marchese across the table, JJ Lou right over here. I don't think we have the right table for today, but it's going to be a fun day of poker, so we'll see what happens.
Jeannie Duffy, one of the Royal Flush girls, checked in with Antonio Esfandiari about the key to his success at the 5 Diamond.
This event always falls around your birthday. Do you think you have a little bit of birthday luck, or?
I feel like I do. I just had a really good round, and I started with 60, and I have over 115 now. So 3 years ago when I won, it was actually on my actual birthday. So
wow.
Can't not run good on your birthday. Right?
Mike Sexton pushed all in on the turn with a pair and a flush draw, but was quickly called by young poker pro Dan Smith, who turned over 2 pair. No help on the river gave Dan a nice double up and sent Mike back into rebuilding mode. One player on the upswing was Don Nguyen, who was having a big day despite getting moved to a tough table.
My first table was really good, and I got moved here, and I was pretty sad about it. There's a lot of good players. Got a couple coolers against Brian Rast. It held top set versus nut straight. Won a really big pot.
But every rising chip stack comes with a price.
Good game, guys.
As the field dwindled, we saw the elimination of Justin Bonomo, Tony Dunst, and completely out of ammunition, Joseph Chong. When the day ended, Don Nguyen had captured the chip lead over the 59 remaining players. Mike Sexton was still alive, but would head into day 4 with less than 15 big blinds. Perhaps Mike would follow the advice of Dan O'Brien.
That's the way to win these tournaments. Just creep up, just don't look at the clock, don't look at how many people are left, just open your eyes and there's 6 left and go from there.
Coming into day 4, the field was still 14 eliminations away from the money. But short-stacked player Mike Sexton was feeling optimistic.
Well, I'm on a short stack, but let me give you the positives about being on the short stack. 1, as you can see, it's not going to take me long to unbag my chips.
It's a big one.
2, doesn't matter how tough the table is because I got to double up a couple times to get in the hot. But 3, and most importantly, I'm better off than 400 other guys that played this tournament. I'm on a short stack, but still alive. Here we go.
Definitely feeling the pressure was chip leader Don Nguyen, who faced an all-in bet of poker pro Shawn Suller. After nearly 7 minutes, Don called
5's full,
and Shawn quickly turned over pocket 5s for the flop to full house. Don mucked his hand while Shawn raked in the chips. The early bust-outs included Season 11 LAPC champion Paul Clan, Trevor Pope, and ending his bid to make a 4th final table, Antonio Esfandiari, all of which brought us closer to the money bubble.
Well, the money bubble means a lot more for the short stacks, so they'll be trying to squeeze into the money in the big stacks, just trying to exploit the pay jumps because it doesn't really mean a ton to them.
I don't give about the money bubble, so I'm going to be playing pots.
Brian Rast's bubble abuse did not go unnoticed. Jean-Robert Belland tweeted about the monster stack he was building. Day one chip leader Kevin Eister was all in and looked in good shape to double up with pocket kings against the pocket jacks of poker pro Steven Silverman.
I'll take a chop. I'm sure everyone will appreciate that.
Steven needed one of the 2 remaining jacks to stay alive.
Oh!
And he spiked one on the river to eliminate Kevin in 46th place. The Champions Club member earned no money after 4 days of play, but took the beat in stride.
Always play one. So I'm not here for the men cash, I'm here for the W. So I'll be back at a few more of these hopefully this year, and hopefully they go better.
Oh!
With the pressure of the bubble over, the knockouts came fast and furious. And included Mike Sexton, who had hung on to make the money, but would have to settle for 42nd place.
Lucky to get this far in the chips I had all day, I guess, so can't complain.
And in what seemed like a chip leader curse, Day 2 chip leader Jeff Madsen was eliminated, followed by Day 3 chip leader Don Nguyen in 37th place. Jean-Robert Belland knocked out Brian Rast in 32nd place, and while he did cash, it was not enough to recoup his 7 buy-ins. After a flurry of bust-outs, including WPT champions Scotty Wynn, John Hennigan, and reigning 5-diamond champion Ravi Raghavan, play ended for the day. 21 players still had their eye on the Champions Cup, with Jean-Robert leading the way into Day 5 with over 1.6 million in chips. Keith Tilson and Eddie Subodh crossed the million chip mark, and Season 10 Player of the Year Joe Sirok also claimed one of the top spots on the leaderboard.
This is the most I've ever had in a World Poker Tour event, and I'm thrilled. And I can tell you, Mike Sexton's been telling me for years how great it would be if I could make a World Poker Tour final table. And hopefully I come through for you, Mike.
With the field narrowing at Bellagio, the 6 seats at the WPT final table are much closer on the horizon. See who makes it when we return on the World Poker Tour.
This episode of the World Poker Tour is brought to you in part by DraftKings. If you like poker and sports, then you gotta love daily fantasy sports at DraftKings. Go to DraftKings.com, enter promo code WPT, and start playing today.
Welcome back to Bellagio and the 5-Diamond World Poker Classic. We've seen a number of big names fall, but let's see who has what it takes to make it to the final table. 21 players filed into the Bellagio poker room, a field that included some of the top pros on the circuit, as well as some amateur players like Dallas chiropractor Andy Filachek, all with the hopes of making it to the televised final table.
Either day 6 here or day 6 at the office tomorrow.
With everyone looking to win that monster pot, action started fast and players hit the rail, including WPT champion Will the Thrill Faella, whose pocket sevens fell to the ace-king of Dan O'Brien after hitting a king on the flop. Jean-Robert Belland was still on the upswing and still had his focus on the final table.
I used to play a lot of WPTs, and I've never made a final table. The only final table I've ever been at was Bad Boys of Poker, which was an invitation table. This has been a lot of fun. I'm probably going to play a lot more WPT events. I'm having a blast.
As the field continued to shrink, Dan O'Brien was eliminated in 13th place after running into the aces of Christian Harder.
Now we're in 13th. This kind of sucks.
With the elimination of Andy Filachek in 11th place by Dan Smith, the final 10 players combined to one table. And after a rough couple of levels, Jean-Robert Belland was now at the bottom of the leaderboard. A monster 3-way pot soon developed between Jean-Robert, Dan Smith and Joe Sirok. After Joe bet the flop, Dan called, and Jean-Robert went all in. Joe mucked his hand and Dan called, turning over ace-king for top pair with the ace kicker. Jean-Robert was in trouble with his worst kicker and would need a queen to stay alive. No help on the turn or river knocked out Jean-Robert and ended his run for his first WPT final table.
All right, guys.
Christian Harder then fell short of making his third WPT final table when he ran ace-king into the pocket kings of Australian Garry Benson. Then, with one elimination to go, Three-time WPT finalist Kurt Kohlberg shipped in his short stack holding pocket deuces and was called by Shawn with jacks. The board ran out. Shawn would take the chips, and Kurt earned the unfortunate distinction of being the TV bubble, but he took it like a champ.
I try to make friends and just have a good time and play the best I can, and that's sort of what I'm all about anyway.
Dan Smith would take the chip lead into the final table that consisted of 5 tough young American pros and 1 Australian pro, all hoping to win their first WPT title. Surviving this field of nearly 450 entrants is a feat all on its own. But for our final 6 players, the journey is far from over, as they are all looking for a spot on the WPT Champions Cup. Right now, I'm joined by WPT's very own Mike Sexton and Vince Van Patten for more analysis on the game. Now, Mike, tell us who you like at this final table.
Well, Lynn, I think you got to look at our 2 chip leaders. Starting out in second chip position with 3.1 million in chips is Garry Benson from Australia. He's a World Series of Poker bracelet winner, and he was also an inaugural inductee into the Australian Poker Hall of Fame. But the class of the table tonight is the chip leader with 3.7 million in chips, 24-year-old Dan Smith. Now, if Dan wins tonight, it will be the 3rd time that he's cashed for over $1 million in a single poker tournament, a feat that's been done by very few people in history, and no one's done it at 24. I had the privilege of playing with Dan for a couple days in this tournament. I can tell you, the guy is a phenom. Dan Smith will be the guy to beat tonight.
And Vince, 5 of these players are at their first WPT final table. But how about Joe Sirok making his 3rd?
Well, Joe Sirok is a fantastic player. I mean, in movie terms, he's a combination of Ashton Kutcher meets Jeff Spicoli with the brain of Rain Man. That's how good he is. He is proving himself once again to be one of the greats making a final table. And right now, he's going over to talk to Executive Tournament Director Matt Savage.
Joe, it's been a couple years since you've been at the WPT final table. How does it feel to be back?
Feels great. I've come close like 4 times in the past year, and I finally didn't screw it up this time, and I'm ready to make a lot of money.
With 2 third-place finishes on the WPT, how do you think your experience tonight is going to help you win your first event?
I mean, hopefully, you know, I can learn some things from back then, but I mean, these players aren't amateurs, you know, they're not going to be scared by the lights and cameras, and it's going to be a tough tournament.
Classic flows. Lynn, back to you.
Thanks, Matt. So, who will take down one of the most prestigious titles in poker? The Doyle Brunson 5-Diamond World Poker Classic final table is about to get started. So, let's get back to Mike and Vince for the call of the game.
Well, here we go. There you see our chip leader, Dan Smith, 3.7 million. Garry Benson behind him with 3.1 million. 6 players left fighting it out for this title. 5 Americans, 1 Australian. That's what they're playing for. The winner tonight taking home over $1.1 million.
Okay, Mike. Antes are 5,000, blinds are 20 and 40. Here we go. The Australian Garry Benson folding first. And now the very talented Joe Sirok. He's got a Queen 9. It looks like he's going to get involved here.
And the WPT Season 10 Player of the Year, making it 90,000 to go.
Yep. A few folds around, and now it's on to Dan Smith.
Well, Dan is in the big blind. He's going to make the call here, so we're going to have a flop.
And Dan's got Queen 7 flops, Ace 7 6, so Dan has 7s. He checks it. Joe with absolutely nothing, zip and pip. But he does have guts, Mike. Look at this. He's getting out chips.
Well, going to make the continuation bet.
100,000 into Dan.
Dan with second pair, as you can see, 2 7s. Going to make the call.
Dan's 24 years old, out of Vegas, poker pro. Can he get lucky? He does there. 3 7s.
He's hit the slot machine on the turn.
He's first to act now. It's surprising he doesn't check the...
Ooh. Maybe he thinks if he bets out, Joe will raise him if he's got aces.
275.
He does bet out, but Joe quickly escapes. I'm like you, Vince. I think he should have checked there. Let the guy bluff at it again. If he had aces, he's certainly going to bet again, but didn't happen. Dan does take down the pot, though.
Yep. He's won a couple high roller events. He plays big-time poker, this Dan Smith. But on to the next hand, Eddie Subodh. Eddie's a poker pro out of L.A. They call him Special Ed. And he folds. Barry Hutter out as well. Dan Smith also ejecting his hand. Now around to the Australian. Garry Benson, no, he won't play.
Now back to Joe Sirok. Joe in the small blind with queen 5 of diamonds. Joe gonna just call here. He limps in the small blind.
That is right. And now Shawn Suller from Honolulu, Hawaii, 31-year-old.
Well, when a guy limps in another small blind, most of the time you're going to raise with ace high here. Shawn doing just that, feeling very certain that it's the best hand unless the guy's trapping you.
That's right. It makes $125,000, and it's going to be too much for Joe Sirok. He lays down his hand, so the 31-year-old Shawn Suller from Honolulu taking down that pot.
Yep, doing it well.
All right, we will be right back with more poker action from the Doyle Brunson 5-Diamond World Poker Classic right after this.
Stay tuned. Season 12 of the World Poker Tour is brought to you by ClubWPT.com, where VIP members can win their share of $100,000 in cash and prizes every month. ClubWPT.com. Never lose a dime playing poker, guaranteed.
It's a huge deal that I'm here. I've watched the WPT since 2003, having Mike and Vince call a final table. It's a dream come true.
My confidence is very high. I feel really confident with my abilities, and even though I'm short stack, I think I can do some damage.
Season 10, I was WPT Player of the Year, but I haven't won anything yet. You could say it was luck, I don't know, but to win this one, it's going to be tough. Tough players to get by. We'll see what the poker gods think.
I think there is a real big connection between the luck factor of the game and just believing and determination. In a tournament, you got to believe in something and something to strive for, and that there's a higher power that's willing you to victory.
I am not just playing for the win, I am playing to maximize my equity in the tournament. Fortunately, the first place is very big, so most of the equity will come from winning.
Yeah, I probably started playing poker before most of my opponents were born, I think. It should be an interesting sort of clash of styles, the old versus the new.
Welcome back to the World Poker Tour. We're at the 5-Diamond World Poker Classic in Las Vegas. 6 players just getting started, Mike.
Yeah, 5 Americans, 1 Australian fighting it out for this title. The Americans are all young guys, 4 in their 20s, 131. The Australian, the elder gentleman at the table.
All right, to the felt we go. Dan Smith, 24-year-old, will quickly fold. Garry Benson also out. And now, the very splashy Joe Sirok.
Well, Joe likes to play a lot of hands. Raises here with a queen 9 offsuit to 90,000.
Shawn and Eddie out. And now Barry Hutter from Hollywood, Florida. He's got an ace 3. He's going to call it.
Flop 6-5 deuce, 2 hearts. As you can see, Barry has the gut shot straight draw but checks.
And now Joe Sirok hitting nothing there, but getting the continuation bet out. Bets 100,000. Always applying pressure.
Barry is check raising here, 275,000. What a bold bet by Barry Hutter. And as we can see, Joe has nothing, so this check raise most likely going to work.
Joe Sirok lays down his hand. Barry Hutter, Hollywood, Florida kid, takes down this pot.
Vince, that guy's put my chips to good use. He's the one that broke me in this tournament. Thought I had something. I moved in with 2 queens. He had 2 kings. Bye-bye, Mike.
This game keeps you talking to yourself, doesn't it, Mike?
Well, can't feel bad if you're on a short stack. You pick up queens, you're happy to get them.
All right, back to the felt we go. Joe Sirok now with a king 9 of spades, and that's a big hand for Joe tonight. He plays almost anything, and he will raise, makes it 85,000. Shawn Suller out. Eddie Subodh, poker pro out of L.A., won't play.
Barry picks up a nice hand, ace-jack.
Certainly does. He's got the button as well.
Well, just lays it down.
That's shocking. And now on to Dan Smith, and Dan has ace-king. Maybe Barry knew something there.
Wow.
What a fold by Barry.
Sure was. Dan is eyeing the chip stack of Joe Sirok. Certainly going to raise it here, I'm sure, and 3-bet it, which he does.
225. And now the Australian entrepreneur, Garry Benson.
An inaugural inductee into the Australian Poker Hall of Fame.
He won't play that. Back on Joe. Look at the pressure Joe's getting.
Yeah.
This is no home game, Joe. He's got to lay it down.
Well, a good laydown there by Joe Sirok, and Dan Smith increases his chip lead at this table.
Making your way in the poker scene is not an easy road, but one Las Vegas pro has already made a WPT final table this season and has her sights set on more. See how this rising young star thrives in the poker spotlight in this edition of Ones to Watch.
We're the ones to watch. Yeah, I'm the guy. If you need something, I got it.
Ladies love money too, you know?
Sometimes things go your way.
I'm kind of the life of the party. Anywhere I go, I'm...
WPT.
Christina Lindley. She got hips, she got lips, and she can play too.
Christina Lindley. I think she's a solid player. The first time we played at a live tournament together, she was very confident, she was very calm, composed, she didn't make any mistakes.
I think she really has a good understanding of psychology and how to get people to play how she wants.
I would definitely say my big strength is being able to read people. I'm very intuitive. Definitely not a math player.
I think she's going to have a really good season.
I really like my shot as far as potentially winning my first title. It's important to have other interests. For me, it was acting and modeling.
She's gorgeous, yeah. Of course she's a model.
I always said that I was too short to do modeling.
I'm not a runway build. I'm really curvy. I was specifically doing a lot of fitness modeling, lingerie and swimwear.
I could be a hand model. My hands are pretty amazing.
I was really blessed throughout my career. I was on over 30 covers. I was featured in Maxim, in Playboy, and just pretty much every fitness magazine. I've really enjoyed being in front of the camera my entire life. I also really enjoy the entire creative process, so I would like to be really involved behind the scenes and see the world from the opposite side of the lens. You want to give us a little more cleavage, possibly? Okay, there we go.
Being an actress or a model, it's just like tournament poker. You gotta show up, you gotta show up, you gotta show up, because you don't know when you're gonna get that opportunity or that breakthrough. There's gonna be a lot of rejection, there's gonna be a lot of losing, and there's gonna be a lot of not making it, but then all of a sudden you get one break.
I haven't played live that long. I committed to being a live pro this year, and you know, I've had a bunch of small buy-in final tables, but this is the first really big live final table that I've ever made. Just the experience for the first time. I'm really excited.
Welcome back to Bellagio and the World Poker Tour. I'm joined by Amy Barish, one of our Club WPT.com qualifiers. Amy, tell us about your experience.
It was an awesome week and awesome experience.
You had a solid few days of play with some amazing poker players.
She beat 3,114 players in one seat. Now that is what I call a boss.
And you got to meet your poker idol, Daniel Negreanu.
Oh, I love him, yes.
Are you big time, Amy?
I am Daniel!
Hi! Bring it in! How you doing?
Good, how are you?
Nice to meet you.
I heard you had a bit of fun at the player party at Lily.
Yes.
With the Royal Flush Girls and some poker pros.
Yes.
And if you at home want your chance to win a seat to a major WPT event, just like Amy did, then check out clubwpt.com today. Looks like the final table action is ready to start back up, so I'll hand it over to Mike and Vince to check the standings and get back to the game.
That is Amy Barish, our Club WPT winner this week.
Yeah, just having a ball here this week, no doubt about it. Also having a ball, as you can see, is Dan Smith right now. He's the boss of this table with over $4 million in chips.
All right, back to the felt we go. Barry Hutter from Florida quickly folding, and now the chip leader Dan Smith takes a look at a 10-3. He won't play that. Gary Benson out, and Joe Sirok going to take a breather.
So the battle of the blinds here. Over to Shawn Suller's got Jack-4 of hearts.
He's a Hawaiian, says he's very spiritual and superstitious, and he will call with a Jack-4. And now Eddie Subodh from L.A. got a Queen-8 of clubs.
All right, let's see black.
This is a hand many guys would raise with when their opponent limped into the small blind, but Eddie happy to see a flop.
He's got an accounting degree at USC, and now he's got a pair of 8s as 8-3 deuce hits the board.
Yep, Shawn is going to check. Eddie with top pair. Is going to bet $55,000.
Yes, even the accountant can figure that one out. That's the money with top pair. But Shawn Suller, with absolutely nothing, is going to make this call.
This is what we call the float. You call with nothing in hopes to try to steal the pot later.
7 of diamonds on the turn, no help for Shawn.
And that's just what Shawn's going to try to do. He's going to try to steal this pot right here. He leads out and bets $135,000, but Eddie having top pair, I don't think this play is going to work.
No. You would not think so. He's got 8s with the queen kicker. Says he's the LA Clippers' #1 fan, a big basketball fan. Once made 57 free throws in a row, he says.
That's pretty good.
He's got to make this call, Mike. Let's see how he does with the free throw here. 4 of diamonds. That actually hits Shawn. Has a little piece of a pair of 4s.
He's got a hand now. You could almost check down, but he is going to bet 2 4s here. 150,000.
What are you doing over there, Shawn? It's a good flop for me.
Eddie Subodh still with top pair.
There's a possible straight and a possible flush out there, but you're not going to put your opponent on either one of those hands. Just can't imagine you're getting away from top pair here.
Nope, not for the amount of money. He makes the good call. Shawn's not going to like it. So Eddie Subodh, Special Ed they call him, will take that pot. Eddie Subodh is 27 years old. He's made over 1.6 in live earnings. Pretty impressive.
I practice patience and discipline to work on my game. There have been too many times in my career where you could play perfect for 4 days straight and then one brain lapse and you're out. So I just really try to keep focused all the time.
All right, back to the action. Joe Sirok, WPT Player of the Year. Going to lay down an ace-7. Shawn Solo going to take a little rest. Eddie out, Barry out. Around to Dan Smith, who doesn't have much of a hand. He's got 10 deuce of diamonds. He'll call it.
10 deuce suited, the Doyle Brunson hand.
Okay, let's have a flop.
Now the gambler Garry Benson from Australia with a queen 6, content to see a flop, and here we go.
Jack 8, 3, 2 clubs, no help to either player. Action on Dan.
Yeah, he is going to check it. And now the entrepreneur gambler from Australia. He can sense weakness. He makes a bet, and it's going to work.
I would have gotten there.
You can tell?
So Garry Benson, the first Australian-born player to win a World Series of Poker bracelet, taking down that pot.
Well, Mike, as you know, the WPT 5-Diamond World Poker Classic is very special to us at WPT because this is where our first event at Bellagio happened 12 years ago. It's been a great run. We're back here. It is always fun.
Well, that's right, Vance. And the WPT has grown a lot since then. We now hold a wide range of tournaments on 4 different continents.
You said it, Mike, and since we last saw our viewers in Montreal, the WPT held a national event at the Grand Casino in Brussels, Belgium, where Nicolas Van de Pitt took home the trophy and 58,000 euros. Not too bad. And here in the States, the Apiece Casino and Resort and Spa in Biloxi, Mississippi, held a regional event where Kaufman Tali claimed the first place prize of over $37,000.
And for those of you at home who haven't had the chance to come out and play in a WPT event, log on to WPT.com for a complete schedule. For now, let's get back to the action here at Bellagio.
All right, action on the Floridian, Barry Hutter.
Picks up ace-jack again. 3rd time he's had it. 3rd time's a charm, I guess. He's betting this one. 85,000.
Chip leader Dan out. The Australian also going out. Joe Sirok ejects a hand, and now it's around to the Hawaiian.
Well, Shawn has the ace-9 of hearts. Could get him in trouble here. We'll see. Well, just going to make the call. And Eddie gets out of their way.
So we have ace-jack versus ace-9. And we will see the first 3 cards right now. And the flop's a queen 10-4. No help to either player.
Action on Shawn. He checks. Barry has the gut shot straight draw. The Broadway draw. He's going to make the continuation bet of 100,000.
Yes, he is.
And we saw Shawn do some float action last time, meaning he called with no hand and no draw. Will he do it again? Nope. Didn't like the way that worked out last time. Gets rid of this hand.
So Barry Hutter, the poker pro out of Hollywood, Florida, going to take this one. This is wide open here.
Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Keeping up with the latest news on your favorite players and tournaments can be a real grind. ClubWPT.com makes it easy with online access to poker magazines like WPT Poker.
Get all the poker you want at ClubWPT.com.
Welcome back to the World Poker Tour. The 5-diamond World Poker Classic continues. 6-handed Mike.
Well, Dan Smith still well out in front. Nearly $4 million in chips. The Australian Garry Benson behind him. Right now, Joe Sirok on the short stack with 6 players left.
A bunch of young, tough poker professionals. And then, of course, the senior Garry Benson. There he is. He's from Australia. Quite a player and entrepreneur. He's going to fold his hand. And now it's around to Joe Sirok.
Looks down to King 7 of hearts. He is going to raise it. Makes it 85,000 to go.
Shawn goes out. And now Eddie Subodh has picked up a real hand. Pair of jacks. They call him Special Ed. He's a poker pro out of L.A. Let's see what he does.
I just can't imagine he's not going to 3-bet with this hand. And indeed he is. 225,000 to go.
Barry goes out. Back on to Joe.
And Joe Sirok, the skateboarder, just can't stay on the board today so far. He is getting knocked off every time he makes a move at this table.
Well, that's right, Mike. Joe can't get anything going. And you know what? It all started on hand number 1 in the monster hand of the day. Joe dominated his opponent Dan Smith pre-flop, Queen 9 to Queen 7. But unfortunately for Joe, Dan flopped a pair of 7s and turned trips, leaving Joe drawing dead, marking the beginning of a monster downward spiral.
And yet somehow, he continues to remain calm, cool, and collected.
Sirok is a very cool customer. He seems pretty laid back.
Yeah, right, Joe?
Joe's personality would be probably like just whatever. So just kind of a lackadaisical, like, I guess I'll play this hand. Raised.
Yeah, he seems out there, but he knows what's going on. He acts like he's not looking around and paying attention to everything going on, but he definitely he's all there.
My persona, I think it helps my game for the most part. You know, being cool and not letting things get to me, although sometimes it definitely does. You know, maybe you misplayed a hand or you got sucked out on, well, whatever, you still got the rest of the tournament to play.
Well, Joe's certainly one of the calm, coolest guys we have out on our tour. Very well liked, but certainly laid back. The guy skateboards on his breaks.
I really like the guy. He's a very humble, intelligent guy. He really is. But right now he's on the short stack. Will he come back? Action's on the Australian, Garry Benson. He's going out. Joe also out.
Shawn goes out as well. And Eddie Subodh throws away, so it's a battle of the blinds here. Barry Hutter looks at ace high and just limps in with it. Well, surprising he didn't raise with that out of the small blind, but maybe a wise move because right behind him, Dan Smith looks down at ace 10 of clubs. And he's got position, he's got more chips, and he's got a better hand. All that you would think would add up to a raise.
115.
That's exactly what he's going to do. He's going to raise it. Goes to 115 like he should.
I can tell you, Dan Smith's only 24, but he's one of the most respected poker players in the world, period.
And Barry's going to stick around for the flop. So ace 10 versus ace 7. Flop's a 5-3 deuce.
Both players have the wheel draw, but as you can see, Dan's got him out kicked.
Both players check. Going to the turn, 8 of hearts. Still no one hitting. Barry's going to check again, but Dan will make the bet, 100,000.
Well, Barry's going to call him.
Going down to the river. Both guys with ace high and an ace hits. Unfortunate perhaps for Barry. He's checking.
Well, there you see a couple really good players, Lucky Chewy and Steve Silverman. Good buddies with Dan, sweating him here tonight.
175.
Dan's going to put it in the value bet, 175,000. And Barry is going to make this call. He's not going to like it.
Well, Dan proudly displays the ace 10 of clubs, takes down the pot.
Look at Barry yawning like it didn't affect him. We know better, Mike. That hurts.
The rich get richer.
Stay awake, Barry. Stay awake. We're coming back with more action here on the World Poker Tour. Stay with us.
Lily's a really great place to get away from all the gambling and the games.
After a long day of work and after the players are done playing, Lily is a great place to go relax and unwind. I'm really big on specialty cocktails, and their drink menu is phenomenal. They have great music, but it's not too loud like a huge club. It's just the right amount, and the vibe is just wonderful there. You can kick back and hang out with your friends and the players and have a good time.
Vince, we got to start checking out more of the lounges around here.
Oh, it is a great place, this Bellagio. A lot of fun. And right now we have 6 players battling for the Doyle Brunson 5-Diamond World Poker Classic.
Dan Smith still well out in front with nearly $4.4 million in chips. He is going to be the guy to beat tonight, no doubt about it.
All right, back down to the felt we go. The very talented Joe Sirok takes a look at his hand, and he will fold. The Hawaiian also going out.
Eddie out as well. Over to Barry. Looks down at ace-10 of clubs on the button. Going to raise it to $85,000.
Dan Smith out, and now the Australian entrepreneur gambler with a 4-5 of spades.
Yeah, I got the little suited connectors. He makes the call, wants to see a flop.
Sometimes you can break players with this type of hand. Let's see if Garry can. Flop is a King-Jack 9.
Well, certainly no help for Garry. He checks.
And now Barry with an inside straight draw in a powerful position. Will he take advantage of it? It looks like he's going to bet $100,000. Well, Gary's going to fold the hand. But Gary's an interesting guy because a few months back, he came to Bellagio and he hit a slot machine for $1.3 million.
Yeah, you're right, Vince. He's a very mathematical guy, tries to figure out everything.
Yeah.
Thought the slot machine was due to hit, played it around the clock for 6 days in a row, hit it for $1.3 million, and now he's here at Bellagio, reaping the benefits, decided to play this tournament. He's at the final table. How good are things for this guy from down under?
All right, on to the next hand. Couple folds. Barry also out. And there's our chip leader, Dan Smith, with an ace-jack.
Yeah, obviously going to raise it on the button here. Makes it $90,000 to go.
To Mr. Lucky. And he's got a king-jack. He could get involved, but no. Goes out. And now Joe Sirok, who's on the short stack. And Joe has a queen 10, and he's going to push all in.
Wow, $760,000 all in. Snap call by Dan Smith. And right now, Joe Sirok in dire straits, has yet to win a pot at this final table. Mom said there'd be days like this sometimes. Vince, he's going to have to get lucky to...
Smiles. He's out in front so far. Let's see the flop. It's an ace. Flops aces for Dan Smith. Right. Joe Sirok gets up.
Well, the look says it all on Joe's face. This, not his day.
Okay, turn card is a 3 of hearts. Doesn't help Joe.
So that's going to do it for the Season 10 WPT Player of the Year. Joe Sirok out tonight in 6th place.
Oh, he's a great player. Always fun to watch. Joe Sirok has to say goodnight. Going to take home $175,000. And right now, he's going over to talk to Matt Savage.
Joe, you're obviously disappointed. What happened on that last hand?
Reshoved queen 10 versus Dan's button raise. He had ace check.
All right, what were we thinking there on that play?
He's opening a lot of hands.
Okay.
And I didn't think he had ace check.
All right, well, Joe, I'm sorry, disappointing for you, but I'm sure you'll be back again. Back to you, Lynn.
With Joe Sirok out in 6th place, we end our first hour of coverage from Bellagio. Please join us next time for continuing coverage of the Doyle Brunson 5-Diamond World Poker Classic from Las Vegas. For Mike Sexton, Vince Van Patten, Tony Dunst, the Royal Flush Girls, and everyone at the World Poker Tour, I'm Lynn Gilmartin. See you next time on the WPT.
I don't understand what this is for here. The World Poker Tour is brought to you by ClubWPT.com. Never lose a dime playing poker. Guaranteed.
In Las Vegas, some players' hot streaks will continue, while others' luck will desert them. Continuing coverage of the $4.3 million Doyle Brunson 5-Diamond World Poker Classic continues tonight on the WPT.
Well, the crowd all standing. He is circling the drain. They are going bare knuckles in the center of the ring.
He needs the extreme miracle.
Good evening morning and welcome to the World Poker Tour. I'm Lynn Gilmartin. Now in its 12th season, the Five Diamond is one of the most prestigious tournaments in the world. High stakes and intense action are what we've come to expect at Bellagio, and tonight is no exception. Right now, let's check in with Mike Sexton and Vince Van Patten to set the stage for us. Fellas, what do you make of what we've seen so far?
Well, Lynn, I was a little surprised to see Joe Sirok, the Season 10 WPT Player of the Year, go out so quickly, but I'm not surprised to see that Dan Smith has increased his chip lead since this final table started. He's the most aggressive player, and Vince, as you know, aggressiveness pays over conservative play. That's the guys that win the money.
Mike, it's big cash, over $1.1 million, and this is a historic event here at Bellagio. Great champions in the past, Gus Hansen, Antonio Esfandiari, Joe Hashem, Daniel Negreanu, you name it. They become stars. One of these guys wants that tonight. Who will it be?
That's right, guys. The stakes are definitely high tonight, and this should be quite exciting to watch. So let's check the chip counts and get back to the game.
Dan Smith well out in front with over $5 million in chips. The Australian Garry Benson in second place with $3 million. 5 left, fighting it out for that first prize of over $1.1 million.
Handies are 5,000, blinds are 20 and 40. And let's start with Dan Smith. He's going to quickly fold his hand. The Australian Garry Benson also going out.
Shawn Suller out.
And now Eddie Subodh. They call him Special Ed from Los Angeles with a 10-8 of hearts, just going to call. Barry Hutter now.
I'm shocked he didn't raise with an ace high here, but he said, give us a flop. Oh, nice flop for Eddie Subodh right there. A straight draw and a flush draw. He's got the 10-8 of hearts. It come queen 9-3 with 2 hearts, and he's going to lead out and bet 55,000.
Barry from Florida not hitting any of that, but he's going to call it.
Now, this is puzzling to me. You don't raise before the flop with ace high.
Look at this, ace of hearts, Mike.
Well, this ace of hearts is going to probably get him in trouble because his opponent has a flush.
Eddie beautifully checks his flush. Barry Hutter has made $450,000 in worldwide earnings, and they get into trouble here. He's going to make a bet, 115.
Yeah, bet's 115,000, thinking he's got the best hand. Little does he know, he's in dire straits, drawing dead.
Eddie just going to call, walk the dog. King of diamonds on the river, no change.
Now possible straight out there as well as a possible flush. Eddie checking again.
Yeah, trying to trap again. Barry, too wise for that, checks behind him. So Eddie taking the pot, but not quite as much as he'd like.
Well, that hand very puzzling to me, Vince. Shocked Barry didn't raise it before the flop with ace high, then he called on the flop. He wisely checked it on the river, but Eddie, after making that flush, certainly didn't get any value out of it.
All right, a little baffling, but here we go. Into the next hand, Barry Hutter is going to fold his hand. Our chip leader, Dan Smith, also will not play.
Now the Australian, Garry Benson, looks down at Jack-7 offsuit. He's on the button. Going to throw it away.
And now the Hawaiian, Shawn Suller. He's got king-queen in the small blind, and yes, he will raise.
Yeah, Shawn, 31 years old, been playing poker 5 years. This is second WPT cash this season.
Makes it 100,000. Eddie, though, with an ace-7. Eddie's accumulated over 1.6 million in live earnings. Pretty impressive, and he's going to make this call. So we got king-queen versus ace-7. And the flop's king-queen 8.
Beautiful flop for Shawn. He's flopped the top 2 pair, action on him, and he's going to check.
Yeah. Going to try to trap. Eddie, though, not falling into a trap. Checks as well. Deuce of clubs on the turn. Come out wherever you are.
Well, Shawn is now going to bet 100,000.
Sure he is. Now, Eddie, with nothing here, cannot play. He folds the hand very wisely, and the Hawaiian, 31 years old, says he's unemployed, just plays poker now with his friends, comes to the mainland every once in a while, plays a tournament, takes down that pot. Nicely done.
He's a very spiritual guy. Even stacks his chips in a cross once in a while, does Shawn Suller.
Dan Smith now, chip leader with ace-queen.
90.
Makes it 90,000 to go. Garry Benson, the entrepreneur from Australia.
He goes out.
Shawn out, but Eddie Subodh has picked up 2 kings.
He is loving this right now.
Whoa.
And just calls. Does not raise here. Slow playing the two kings, and right behind him, Barry Hutter has picked up ace-king. This is definitely going to get 3-bet here.
Oh, follow the yellow brick road. Look at this. Yep.
Well, 275,000, but to Dan, he thinks this guy might be just making a squeeze play here with not that strong of a hand. So what do you do now with ace-queen? Well, if you're Dan Smith, you call. That's what you do. But the calling's about over with right here, folks. You are now going to see the kings step up and
get
show
ahead
some
of
force.
yourself.
Well, you're going to raise now for sure.
Well, I know, but do you have to tell everyone?
Well, you slow played him to start with. You got a dream scenario. The guy behind you raised. The other guy called. Hello, darling.
Yeah, but look at the acting style.
$1 million total.
There you go. Mike's million going in. So exciting if you have that kind of hand and you played it coolly and you just called. But Barry's in a bit of trouble here.
Well, Vince, I think he's got to ship his stack in here.
I'm on.
Yes, and that's exactly what he's going to do.
You're never going to put your opponent on ace or kings. He didn't raise the original raiser.
Dan disgusted. He got involved with that. Folds his hand, of course. Eddie makes the insta-call, and they turn the cards up.
Kings versus ace-king. So.
Well, Barry Hutter's tournament life on the line here. Unfortunately for him, Dan folded an ace, so odds of him winning are getting thinner.
Barry Hutter from Hollywood, Florida in trouble, and the flop's a 9-9-7.
It's not too promising.
9?
Not gonna be all right.
The crowd on its feet. A 10 of spades on the turn, no ace there for Barry.
So we are down to the river card. And Barry Hutter from Hollywood, Florida must catch an ace on the river or he'll be out in 5th place.
River card at Bellagio. Here we go.
It's a jack. So Eddie's going to win the pot. That's going to do it for the 27-year-old poker pro out of Hollywood, Florida. Barry Hutter out tonight in 5th place.
Oh boy, Barry Hutter melts like butter. Gonna take home $219,000. Over to talk to Matt Savage.
Barry took home $219,000 today. Are you satisfied with your performance?
As far as how I played, yeah. I mean, obviously I'd like to win.
Being your first experience at the World Poker Tour final table, what'd you think of it?
I mean, it was a good experience. It would have been nicer to win. All in all, it was good.
Well, you've got a lot of experience going in the poker world, so I'm sure we'll see you again. Good luck to you.
So with Barry out, we are down to 4 players. The blinds are going up to 25 and 50,000.
Yeah, Dan Smith still well out in front, as you can see. 4.8 million, but Eddie Subodh now in 2nd place, 3.7.
Quick fold by Eddie Subodh. And now Dan Smith with a 7 deuce.
110.
He's got to try to get fancy with his hand and raise. Makes it 110 to go.
Well, theoretically, the worst poker hand you can start with, the 7 deuce offsuit. Didn't stop Dan from raising it, though.
Yeah, Garry out, but Shawn has ace queen. What's he going to do with that?
You'd think it's an automatic 3-bet here.
No, it's not, though. He's just going to call.
So we're going to have a flop here.
Flops king, 6, 7. Look at this. Dan's hit 7s. Shawn's going to check.
Well, Dan has outflopped him here. But he was allowed to outflop him because Shawn didn't raise it pre-flop.
And Dan's going to bet 125,000.
Shawn going nowhere here.
He's running backwards. He's making this call.
Well, this is what happens.
4 diamonds on the turn.
When you don't 3-bet with these kind of hands before the flop, you know, I don't know why you just latch onto it and continue to play.
Well, they both check. And a jack of spades on the river. So Shawn did not get lucky with that last card. He's going to check again, and Dan's happy to show 7s.
At the 7.
And Dan Smith is going to extend his chip lead.
Well, Shawn gives that wry grin, as you can see, saying, why didn't I 3-bet this before the flop? I can't believe I let this guy win a pot with a 7 deuce offsuit.
Just want to impress the cameras.
Dan Smith has won 2 high roller events in 2012 for over $1 million each.
There's 2 of Dan's good buddies, Lucky Chewy and Steve Silverman, here to root him on tonight. And right now they're saying, hey, maybe I should try to win some pots with 7 deuce offsuit.
All right, on we go. A couple folds at the Hawaiian. Shawn picking up the Cowboys, pair of kings.
Oh, and he just limps in.
Wow.
Oh, a lot of cagey play here at this table.
Trying to get a raise, but doesn't get it out of Eddie Subodh, who has a king deuce. Oh, and the flop is at ace, king, 8. 3 of a kind there for Shawn, and king's there for Eddie. They both check. Queen of hearts on the turn.
Well, obviously Eddie drawn completely dead. Shawn's still checking. Well, he's finally convinced Eddie they might have the best hand with 2 kings. Little does he know, he's far from it.
Eddie's bet 80,000 to the delight of Shawn, who's saying maybe I'll get some money out of this pot. Yeah, just makes a smooth call. Down to the river we go. And it's a nothing 5 of diamonds.
Well, action on Shawn. Now he's going to lead out at the pot. Now he bets 150,000, but the way this hand was played, the guy never bet, never raised. You're going to pay him off with 2 kings here.
3 kings.
Wow.
The last one.
The Hawaiian Shawn Solo taking the pot. Take it when you can. 4-handed action. He decided to play slow in the beginning and try to trap.
No more kings.
Kind of backfired right there, but he still takes the pot. Nicely done.
It's time to take a quick break, but we'll be right back with more from Bellagio, including Tony Dunstan giving us the raw deal, plus get a taste of the good life with the Royal Flush Girls. It's all coming, so stay tuned.
Welcome back to the WPT Doyle Brunson 5-Diamond World Poker Classic, brought to you by ClubWPT.com.
And Mike, we are again at the great Bellagio. It is fun. We always see the most elite players in the world play here, bar none, and we're seeing that again here tonight.
Well, that's right, Vince. And if you at home want to step up your game, then you should check out ClubWPT.com. There you can access past episodes of the WPT. You can read about poker strategy in the digital edition of WPT's Poker Magazine, but best of all, you can play all the poker that you like, improve your poker skills on the virtual felt.
That is true. Check it out today, ClubWPT.com. Never lose a dime playing poker, guaranteed. Back to the table we go.
There you see Dan Smith well out in front with about 5.2 million. Eddie Subodh in second place with 3.4 million. Garry and Shawn with about 2.5 million apiece.
And the winner's going to take home 1,160,000. Action on the Australian. He folds the hand.
Shawn on the button with the ace-10 of clubs, going to raise it, makes it 115,000 to go.
Into Eddie Subodh from LA. He's got queen 8 of spades.
Eddie in the small blind.
Got an accounting degree from USC, so he should be able to figure this out.
Well, those are not calling chips. Those red chips are 25,000 each. So this is a 3-bet up to 275,000 by Eddie Subodh here with the queen 8.
Dan quickly folds. Now back on Shawn. And he's going to call this, of course.
Yeah, makes the call, so we're going to have a flop here. The flop is Jack 7-6, no help to either player. Action on Eddie. And he is going to make the continuation bet, as you should do if you 3-bet before the flop. Bets 250,000 here. Shawn going out with the best hand. This is the perfect example of how a 3-bet works. You take the lead, you bet the flop, your opponent goes out. Well done right there by Eddie.
Yeah, he says he's a great basketball player, loves basketball. He actually said he made 57 straight free throws.
Well, he sure swished one there, that's for sure. The way he 3-bet that last pot.
All right, we have a couple folds. Now Dan Smith with just a 10-4 will call. And the Aussie, very tight, solid, 9-6, won't raise. Nothing fancy, here we go.
And flop comes king 7-6 with 2 clubs. Dan has flopped a flush draw. He is going to bet 75,000. Garry has flopped bottom pair. He's got 2 6s. He's going to call him.
Going to the turn we go. It's a 5 of diamonds.
So a possible straight out there now as well.
250.
Dan with the opening straight draw and the flush draw. Going to bet 250,000.
And Garry from Australia.
Well, he's from one of them places that you're going to have to show me a hand that beats mine. He makes the call.
Yeah, he's getting stubborn. Let's see if he gets lucky. Not there. 5 of clubs on the river. That gives a flush, of course, to Dan.
Now Dan now has the best hand with the flush.
570.
$570,000 to bet. Pretty good sized bet into a $770,000 pot.
Yes, is he going to chase away the Aussie?
Garry Benson, the first Australian-born player to win a bracelet at the World Series of Poker.
And the Aussie looks at his hand and is going to do the kangaroo hop right out of this hand.
Well, good lay down by Garry there. Dan Smith increasing his chip lead.
Yeah, Dan Smith, a phenomenon on the poker circuit. Made over $4.5 million in worldwide earnings. Pretty impressive for a 24-year-old. Tonight's proving why he's one of the greats. Back to the action, Shawn Suller with a Jack-8 of diamonds. And he will quickly raise to $100,000. But right behind him, Eddie Subodh with ace-10 of spades, Mike.
Well, he's just going to call. Doesn't raise with the ace-10.
Dan out. And Garry now with an ace-8. He's already got money in there, so he's going to put the extra money in and see a flop with an ace-8. So three-way action. And the flop is queen, jack-3. So jack's there for Shawn Suller.
Yeah. Gary's going to check. Shawn has the best hand with two jacks now. Action on him.
And this young Hawaiian loves to play fast. And again, he's going to bet at 125.
Now Eddie, who has the gut shot straight draw, king would give him an ace-high straight. He can backdoor spades, makes the call for 125, and Garry goes out.
Turned card. Will Eddie get lucky? No. Queen pairs the board. So on Shawn again.
Shawn is putting his opponent on exactly what he's got, some kind of straight draw, so he's going to bet the jacks here.
Yeah, 375. Eddie with just a miracle draw now. Releases the hand. He won't compete. So the 31-year-old Hawaiian, Shawn Suller, got to take that pot down.
Aloha!
What's so great about Hawaii and what it brings for me is it provides a balance to take in the beauty of Mother Nature. I love to hike and go meditate in the woods. It's just incredible, the mountains there and the waterfalls. It's just beautiful, and it really provides a solid peace of mind when you come back from a bad beat or a poker trip that didn't go so well. You can kind of regroup, reset, refocus, and get ready for the next event.
This episode of the World Poker Tour is brought to you in part by DraftKings. If you like poker and sports, then you're going to love daily fantasy sports at DraftKings. Go to DraftKings.com, enter promo code WPT, and start playing today.
To win a WPT title would be fantastic. You know, I won a World Series bracelet, and the thing missing from my mantle is a WPT title. Joe Hashem won this Bellagio 5 Diamond. And it would just be fantastic to be able to follow in his footsteps.
Great players have won this event. We are right back at him. Four-handed. Eddie Subodh with a quick fold. And now the chip leader, Dan Smith.
He's got the 8-6 offsuit, but that's enough to raise it. 120,000. Now Garry Benson, very conservative player. That's a king-3 offsuit.
So Eddie.
He is going to raise and 3-bet with this hand. Something you don't expect out of this guy. 280,000 to bet.
Hawaiian goes away. And now Dan also folds his hand. So well played. Garry mixing up his game. Now there's his family in the front row. Don't forget they all came here just to visit Bellagio and play a few slot machines. And now he realized, hey, there's a big poker tournament going on. He's played, and now he's here in this moment right now.
This time he picks up 10-9 of clubs. He's going to raise it to 125,000. And Shawn now has the king-3 offsuit. Could it be? He's 3-betting also. Back-to-back hands, guys have 3-bet with king-3 offsuits. It worked for Garry. Will it work for Shawn?
Well, Eddie goes out, as does Dan. So the Hawaiian, Shawn Suller, put the pressure on the Aussie.
Action back on Garry. But the suited connectors, he wants to see a flop, so he makes the call.
9-10 versus king-3. And we have a queen 6-4. No help to either player.
Well, Garry is going to check.
Wow, Shawn checks. I can't believe that a guy would 3-bet before the flop and then not bet that flop.
Deuce of hearts on the turn. No help to either player again.
Garry just going to try to take a stab at this pot.
I think when I make a move, people respect me. They know I'm not one to bluff. They know I'm one that usually has a hand when I make a play. Well, that's what I think they think, but you know, I could be wrong.
Well, this is what Garry is saying. He's got such a tight image, but no, the Hawaiian's onto it. He's making the call with just king high.
Didn't bet on the flop and makes the call on the turn. And now a 10 comes on the river. Now Garry has the best hand, and the way this hand is played, he is not putting his opponent on queens. Feels fairly certain the 2 10s are the best hand, trying to get a value bet in here now.
Yep, of 360, but Shawn says no mas. You can have it, Garry.
Well, there's a hand Shawn should have won had he 3-bet before the flop and then bet on the flop. I believe he'd have won this pot rather than lost it.
All right, let's see what Tony Dunst has to say about this one in the raw deal.
It's never fun to look around the table and realize you're the least experienced player there. Young Hawaiian Shawn Suller has had a strong year with multiple deep runs. But this is his first final table on a stage as big as the WPT, and his first time facing a lineup of top professionals. Everyone around him here has won major titles. So will Shawn rise to the occasion, or just fly too close to the sun? Let's break it down. First, we watch Shawn min-raise Jack-8 suited on the cutoff and get called by both Eddie and Garry. The flop comes 3 Jack Queen Rainbow with one of Shawn's diamonds. When Garry checks, Shawn bets small for $125,000. Eddie calls with his Ace-10 suited and backdoor flush draw, and Garry folds in the big blind. The turn pairs the board with the Queen of Hearts, and now Shawn bets bigger for about 2/3 pot. Eddie gives up the hand, and Shawn drags the pot. Now, although we see Shawn stacking chips, I'd still argue he misplayed the hand. I think the real mistake here is the turn bet. Sure, Shawn protects himself from draws by betting, but the value of those draws diminished when the board paired. No worse pairs will call his bet, yet no better hand would fold except maybe Jack-10. If Shawn wants to invest more chips in the hand, he should do so by check calling. Then we watch Shawn continue his aggression by 3-betting in position against Garry Benson. Now, King-3 offsuit isn't really my go-to hand for 3-betting, especially when sized small enough that many hands can correctly call. But if I had re-raised King-3 off, got called, and received an uncoordinated Queen-4-6 flop, I'd definitely bet and hope for a fold. But Shawn checks his hand despite having no real showdown value, and in this case, opens himself to getting sucked out on by 10 high. I like that Shawn is trying to keep his opponents off balance, but unfortunately his aggression looks mistimed. There's still a chance that Shawn becomes a WPT Cinderella story, but I think it's more probable he ends up like Icarus. You know, the guy who flew too close to the sun? Oh, read a book, people!
Icarus, I thought it was a candy. I don't know. What is he talking about?
But I agree that Shawn should have made the continuation bet on the flop with the King-3 offsuit. It cost him the pot.
Nicely done, Tony. But back to the felt we go, four-handed poker. Garry Benson with a Queen-8 this time, and he's going to raise to $100,000. Shawn goes out, as does Eddie. But now Dan Smith with a Queen-5 will make this call. So Queen-5 versus Queen-8. Here we go again. Flop is a Queen-Jack-4.
Check. Well, both players a flop top pair here. This could be a bit of trouble here for the chip leader.
Yep, Dan checks, Garry bets. $100,000. He's got his man on the hook right now. Dan's making the call. Gotta love Garry's kicker at this point.
No more.
Oh, boy.
Just like that, Dan Smith makes 2 pair, queens and 5s, to take the lead. It looks like a nothing 5 at all to Garry, so he bets again, yep. $200,000.
Oh, what a terrible card for the Aussie. Little does he know.
And what Dan's thinking about, do I just call here or do I raise?
Do you punish now? No, he's just going to call.
He just makes the call, so we're going to the river.
And the river card is a 6 of diamonds.
Check.
Doesn't change anything. He's going to check again with the 2 pair.
That's the way this hand's played. You got to believe 2 queens are the best hand. Garry certainly does, and he bets 325,000.
The question is, do you just call? I mean, if you do raise, you know, are you really going to get a call unless you're beat?
525 more.
But he is going to raise it.
Well, he is going to put Garry to the test here.
850.
Garry, a very experienced poker player. Inaugural inductee into the Australian Poker Hall of Fame. Gets away from that hand.
Yeah,
a good laydown by Garry there.
Excellent laydown. Garry, you're doing the right thing. The right moves. You're teaching these young bucks a lot about poker here tonight.
Season 12 of the World Poker Tour is brought to you by ClubWPT.com, where VIP members can win their share of $100,000 in cash and prizes every month. ClubWPT.com. Never lose a dime playing poker, guaranteed.
Here at Bellagio, we almost have 100,000 bottles of wine. And within that, we also have about 4,000 different selections. When you dine out at some of our fine restaurants like Michael Mina, we have a great wine list there that is geared for boutique California producers. You go to Picasso, and it has one of the greatest Spanish collections in the entire country. So if you're surrounded by great friends, drinking a nice bottle of wine, out having a wonderful meal, you can't find a better place than here at Bellagio.
Well, no doubt about it. Great wines here at every restaurant at Bellagio. Now, Vince, I know you like to drink wine once in a while. How well do you like the wines here?
Actually, Mike, I do enough whining at the poker table. I don't need that. But Bellagio is great. Some of the best restaurants in the world, all here at this great hotel and casino. And right now, the antes are up to 10,000. Blinds at 30 and 60,000. Action on Shawn Suller. He quickly folds his hand.
Over to Eddie Subodh. On the button, looks down at the 76. Suited connector.
Very enticing hand.
He's just going to limp in and call on the button. Doesn't raise. You're always leery when guys limp in on the button if they're trying to trap you. Dan looks down at the ace-9. Doesn't want to get trapped, so he just makes the call.
Certainly does. Now, Garry with a miserable-looking 7-5, but he's got money in there. Not going to raise.
He's happy to see a flop.
Sure.
Three-way action.
And the flop is an ace, 8-4. So aces for Dan Smith. And look at the draw for Eddie Subodh.
Yep, he's got the straight draw and the flush draw. It's checked around to him.
Yeah.
He is going to bet this hand 85,000.
Dan Smith catching aces there with the 9 kicker, but just calling.
Garry has a gut shot straight draw. He knows that 6 would give him a straight where he might could win a giant pot, so he calls also.
That's 3 on the turn.
3.
Well, Dan is now going to lead out and bet the 2 aces, 300,000.
Yeah, protect the aces. Garry has to go bye-bye.
Now Eddie has a big draw here. Straight draw and a flush draw. Just calls. Does not raise here.
Content to see the river card. Hope to get lucky. Can Eddie do it? And he does as a 5 hits.
That is so much better than a spade because it's a camouflaged straight card.
Now Dan with the aces wisely checks. And here it comes.
It is a big bet, over 900,000, nearly a pot-sized bet. And if you're sitting in Dan Smith's seat, it looks like a bluff-sized bet. Well, guys make a smaller bet when they have value hands they want to get paid off on. Obviously, we can see Eddie has the best hand possible. He wants to get paid off, but he's made a bluff-sized bet.
I don't think you can lay this down.
It's going to be tough for Dan. You see his concern.
I call.
Yeah, he's going to make this call.
Well, Dan has made the call. He guessed right about the spades, didn't realize the 5 hit him in the gut to make him a straight as well. Nice bet on the river there by Eddie.
Yep, and he is happy. From LA, a great athlete, loves life. Let's hear a little bit more about Eddie Subodh.
I just appreciate that the fact that I get to play poker for a living, and every tournament I play, I take it seriously, and I don't take anything for granted.
Can't play poker all the time.
It's important to have hobbies outside of poker, and basketball and shooting is one of mine, and I love it when I get the chance.
It's like scooping a big pot.
I think maybe because I'm happy and go-lucky type of guy, like people may underestimate me and think I don't have that killer instinct inside me, but I do.
Please tell me you got that.
Like a pretty good shooter there, Vince. Can you take him one-on-one? That's what I want to know.
That was from way outside.
I know you're a hoopster.
Back to the action we go. Four-handed action. And Eddie Subodh now has 3.9 million in second chip position behind Dan Smith. And here we go. Action's on Dan Smith. He's going to fold this. And now the Aussie. Oh, he's got the suited connector now. The enticing hand. And he will raise. Makes it 125 to go. Shawn out. And Eddie with just a 9-10 this time. But, he's going to invest some more. Makes the call. So 9-10 versus the 6-7 of diamonds.
Flop comes Jack 6-4.
Yeah, nothing hitting for Eddie.
Eddie checks. Garry's flop middle pair here.
He's going to make the continuation bet with it, 175. And we'll just chase away the basketball guy.
He is check raised, no hand, no draw. Getting frisky now.
Certainly is. Goes to 400,000. Now the Aussie, though, makes the pretty quick call there. He's not buying it yet.
Nope. Nice call by Garry here.
Can't push that man around. Look at that face. 3 of hearts on the turn. No help for Eddie, but...
All in.
Oh, wow. All in, he says.
Well, he says all in. He's really setting Garry all in because Garry has fewer chips than him. And you can see Garry is just wondering what is going on here. I just don't believe this guy.
Well, he suspects that he's being robbed, but tough to invest this much more with just the 6s.
It's your tournament life. If you make this call and go out here, you're chastising yourself for going out with a marginal hand. Garry lays it down, and Eddie shows him the bluff.
Oh, yeah.
The Australian grabbing the collar, trying to breathe.
Beautifully done by the smiling Eddie Subodh.
Welcome back to Las Vegas, where 4 players are battling it out to be this season's 5-Diamond World Poker Classic champion. Let's send it back to Mike Sexton and Vince Van Patten for the chip counts and the call of the game.
Well, there you see the chip counts of everybody. Dan Smith still out in front with 4.7, but that lead is shrinking. Eddie Subodh in second place with nearly 4.2 million now.
That is right. 4-handed action at the 5-Diamond World Poker Classic. We continue. Action on Eddie Subodh. From Los Angeles, the 27-year-old is going to go out, and now Dan Smith looks at an awful-looking 8 deuce. Won't mess around with that. On to the Aussie, Garry Benson, who has a 9-7 of diamonds.
He's going to play it. Doesn't matter if he raises or calls. He just called.
Shawn Suller now with a 6-5.
Shawn happy to get a free flop here.
So a couple junk hands, 9-7, and look at this flop. Queen 9-7, 2 pair for Garry Benson.
Well, it goes check, check. Now the board pairs queens.
Garry is checking again. Yeah, Shawn with the inside straight draw. Now Shawn is going to bet 150. Garry calling.
No way Gary's putting him on a queen here.
Down to the river we go. And the river card is a jack of clubs. So now Garry, not that thrilled about his 9s and 7s. Checks again.
Yeah, he's not that worried about a flush. Would have thought his opponent would have bet a flush draw on the flop, but now a possible straight out there as well.
Shawn is going to take advantage of the situation and try to put pressure with nothing. 375.
Good call.
A snap call by Garry, and a correct decision to do so. His queens and 9s are going to take down this pot.
Very impressive.
Well, Garry Benson's made a lot of right decisions here at this table so far.
And he plays fast too, Mike. You love that.
He's old school, Vince.
This is the slot machine that Garry won 1.3 million. This is the mother of all slot machines, Mike.
Why weren't we out there playing it?
I don't know. I think that's $5 per roll. Anyway, back to the table. Dan Smith now. Still our chip leader. Quick fold. Garry has picked up the aces. Just a reminder of that great slot machine.
He hit the slot machine in the casino. Now he's hit it right here. 2 aces.
He's raised to 155, but behind him, the Hawaiian Shawn has an ace-8.
Little does he know how far behind he is.
He's called it. Eddie getting out of their way. So, huge hand and opportunity for the man that's on the short stack at this moment, Garry Benson, the Aussie. And here's the flop.
Oh, and it's come 8-7-3 with 2 hearts. Shawn has flopped top pair, top kicker. This could spell trouble.
Oh, yeah, sure can. He's coming out with a bet of 250.
All in.
And Gary's going to go all in right now.
Well, because of the straight and flush possibilities, he's just shipping it all right here.
Now, you got to think about this. Shawn is saying, would this guy go all in on a 4 flush? Probably not.
Well, even if he had a flush draw with 2 overcards, he wouldn't be an underdog to this hand.
Call. He's going to make the call.
Call.
Hard to get away from. He's in deep trouble right now. Garry Benson, the Aussie, with aces out in front.
Well, you just have to wonder, would Garry Benson have moved all in with no hand and no draw? Very unlikely.
Well, he's loving this right now. Now Shawn, the Hawaiian, very spiritual, needs to say a prayer and catch lucky, but not there. Queen of clubs.
Shawn Suller must catch a snowman. Otherwise, a lot of his chips are going to melt away here.
The Aussie with 1 card to double up. Here we go. Oof.
Well, the crowd moans as the 10 comes off. So Garry Benson finally picks up a big hand and gets rewarded for it.
He certainly does. With the weapons of mass destruction, that's how you do it. He's coming back. So are we here on the World Poker Tour. Stay with us.
Until I win the cheat.
At Club WPT, I get to play as much poker as I like and to win a share of $100,000 in cash and prizes every month, including WPT tournament entries.
ClubWPT.com. Never lose a dime playing poker, guaranteed. We are back here on the World Poker Tour at Bellagio in Las Vegas. 4-handed poker, and what an exciting hand we just saw. The Australian Garry doubling up right there.
And that's why it's the monster hand of the day.
Well, he did, Vince. He picked up 2 aces.
All in.
Call.
Got max value for them as he doubled up. He is back in this thing.
That's right, and now Shawn Suller is going to be on the short stack. He's from Hawaii.
And you might say Suller is a little sullen right now.
Oh, you certainly could say that. Let's go back down to the felt and see what happens next.
Well, action is on, Shawn.
All in.
Looks down at ace-9. He's got 11 big blinds. He ships it.
Yep, all in. By the way, the blinds have gone up to 40 and 80.
I need something better than that.
Eddie, Dan, and Garry out.
And he takes down the pot.
Yep, I think he's on tilt time.
Let's do this 10, 20 times. There you go.
He needs to get back in there. After the last catastrophe for him, things are turning around. Action on Eddie from Los Angeles. He's got king 5 of clubs.
180.
He's going to make a move to 180,000. Dan going out.
Over to Garry. Gary's got those little suited connectors you like to see flops with, but do you want to call 180,000?
Yep, they're enticing, but nope. Garry resists. And now Shawn with a jack 4.
All in.
He says all in. Look at this.
Wow, bold bet here by Shawn.
He's getting brave, but it's going to work, Mike.
Yeah, it's going to work. Only because Eddie didn't have much, but still a bold play by Shawn Suller there. That was his tournament life, folks. But as my old drill sergeant said, you can only slide so far in barbed wire with those kind of hands.
I'm so happy to hear that line from you again.
All in.
Again! We're hearing those 2 words, all in. Eddie's out.
Oh, I sweated that real poorly.
You want to count at least?
No.
And Dan folds.
Wow, the crowd goes wild. Shawn Suller all in again, and again.
Ace queen, right? Ace queen.
This Hawaiian contingent.
AK.
Loving this.
Well, that time he had a hand. And as the saying in poker goes, your hands actually should be stronger the more number of times that you move in, because everybody's not going to believe you and start calling you soon. So
all in.
He's going all in again with an ace-9 of diamonds, but he's being called this time. because Eddie Subodh's got a pair of queens.
Well, Dan goes out. So there it is, 2 queens for Eddie. Ace high for Shawn. Shawn must win this pot to stay alive, or we'll be down to 3 players. Everybody on their feet here at Bellagio.
Well, this would be some comeback by the Hawaiian. All he has to do is strike at ace right now. Let's see if it can happen.
Well, King 4 deuce on the flop with 1 diamond.
No, the queen of clubs only.
Shawn needs to catch an ace, 2 runners to make a straight, 2 runners to make a flush. Needs some help.
Queens out in front. Eddie's group sweating him.
Well, that diamond comes up. Everybody moans. Shawn Suller needs an ace or any diamond to win this pot.
Can he pull this off? Down to the river in Vegas we go. Diamond or an ace. Let's take a look.
The 7 of hearts. Well, Shawn Suller made a good effort of it, Vince. He moved all in many times there down the stretch to try to get hold of some chips. Finally got called by Eddie, who had the 2 queens against the ace-9. They hold up Shawn Suller from Honolulu, Hawaii, our 4th place finisher.
Big effort by him. Fun to watch. He'll take home $303,000 tonight for Bellagio, and he's going over to talk to Matt Savage.
Shawn, you came into this final table with a ton of confidence. Where does that come from?
Well, I've been playing quite a bit this year. Made 2 other final tables, yeah, just been playing great poker of recent.
I'm sure we're going to see you again. Congratulations.
Thanks a lot. I'd love to come back, and next year be ones to watch.
He wants to be ones to watch. He's calling his shot, Len.
All right. Aloha.
Aloha.
With Shawn Suller out in 4th place, we conclude our 2nd hour of coverage. Please join us next time when we crown a champion of the Doyle Brunson 5-Diamond World Poker Classic. For Mike Sexton, Vince Van Patten, Tony Dunst, the Royal Flush Girls, and everyone at the World Poker Tour, I'm Lynn Gilmartin. See you next time on the WPT.
I don't understand what this is for.
The World Poker Tour is brought to you by ClubWPT.com. Never lose a dime playing poker. Guaranteed.
Bellagio has long been the home of fantastic finishes on the World Poker Tour, and by the look of it, we have another one in store tonight on the WPT.
Well, the crowd all standing.
He is circling the drain.
They are going bare knuckles in the center of the ring.
He needs the extreme miracle.
Hi everyone, welcome back to Bellagio and our coverage of the WPT Doyle Brunson 5-Diamond World Poker Classic. I'm Lynn Gilmartin. Throughout the years, winning this title has become a crowning achievement in many players' careers. Ever since the great Gus Hansen won his first WPT at this event back in Season 1, the list of past champions has become a virtual who's who of the poker world. And tonight, we are down to 3 players looking to join that elite club. For more analysis on how the action may play out, I'll turn to my esteemed colleagues Mike Sexton and Vince Van Patten. Guys, we've got a 3-man race and everyone is close in chips. So who's got the advantage at this point?
Well, then Eddie Subodh is our current chip leader, but I still like the guy sitting in 2nd chip position, Dan Smith. He's been there and he's done it more than these other guys in big-time tournaments. If Dan wins tonight, this will be the 3rd time that he's cashed for over $1 million in a poker tournament. Not many guys in the world have done that, and no one's done it at 24 like Dan. I think he can close better than these guys, so I'm still picking Dan.
And Vince, the money jumps are getting pretty big. Do you think the pressure will get to these players?
Well, Lynn, actually, I don't think they're thinking about the money. I mean, these guys are going after a major title on the World Poker Tour. That's what they want. They want the championship. They want their name inscribed on the Champions Cup. But if they go for about 1.5 years into a drought, they may think back and go, wait a second, why didn't I just hang on for a second? That was crazy playing, but we'll see. They're going after a big title. Who will win it? I don't know.
Well, I'm sure we're in for a wild ride with huge money on the line tonight. So let's check the chip count and get back to the action.
Eddie Subodh on top now with 4.8 million. Dan Smith with 4.6 million, and the Australian Garry Benson with 4.2 million.
Oh yeah, first prize $1,161,000, and the antes are 10, blinds are 40 and 80. Let's get started. Garry Benson from Australia with a Jack 6 of clubs, Mike.
180.
He's going to raise to 180.
Well, Garry has been very conservative. We started this final table, and all throughout this tournament plays pretty tight poker. Loosening up his game here, raising with the Jack 6.
Eddie goes out, and now Dan Smith with a Jack 7 makes this call, but the flop is a 10-9-5.
Well, gives Dan a gut shot straight draw, but he checks.
And Garry hit none of that, but he's going to make a continuation bet of 240.
Garry Benson, the first player to be inducted into the Australian Poker Hall of Fame. He's also the first Australian to win a World Series of Poker bracelet.
Dan Smith, he's going to make this call. We'll go into the turn, and it's a 9 of clubs that pairs the board.
No help to either player. Again, Dan checks.
Now, the Aussie's perception of the table is a very, very tight player. So when he makes moves, whether he has it or not, he gains respect. There, he's going to bet again. He's opening up his game right now. 475, Mike.
Well, look at Dan stare this guy down. And Dan lays it down, but what a play by Garry Benson. As you said, Vince, he has opened up his game short-handed here, making some moves.
You know, he not only makes moves in poker, I hear he's a pretty good chess player as well.
I started playing chess at a pretty young age. My father read a book to me when I was about 6 years old, and I started playing basically a lot of correspondence chess, and that's where I won my international title and became an Australian champion, I think, in 2003. I think being good in chess has helped me in my poker game. It's taught me to be logical and analytical and just think situations through, being able to try and get into the head of your opponent and trying to be one step ahead just to be better than the next guy.
Well, he's better than a lot of guys at chess. Also at poker, we started this tournament with 449 players, down to our final 3, and Garry Benson out in front right now with the chip lead, 5.7 million.
And don't forget, he came back about 6 months ago at Bellagio. He was playing slot machines, and he won a slot machine for 1.3 million. How do you like that?
Yeah, he thought it was going to hit, played it 6 days in a row, and there it came right in for him.
All right, back to these 3. Eddie Subodh has picked up a pair of 9s. He'll raise, makes it 160 to go. Dan out. And now Garry Benson, who is in the big blind already.
And the new chip leader. Looks down at the worst 2-card holding you can start with, the 7-deuce offsuit. But look, Vince, he has raised it 425,000. Is this the Garry Benson that we know?
He is a new Garry. He's getting the call, of course, by Eddie, because Eddie's got a real hand, pair of 9s. So here we go. And the flop is a 9. King 3-9. 3 of a kind for Eddie Subodh.
Oh, boy. This could be trouble for Garry. Whatever he bets, folks, is going into Eddie's stack. He's drawing dead already. Nothing he can catch to win this pot. And yet here he is betting.
Oh, boy. He's betting 450 with nothing. And right now, Eddie Subodh is digging a hole, putting the branches, the little twigs over it, waiting for the sucker to fall in.
Well, the sucker's already in there.
He's in there.
Just a matter how far he's going. And Eddie is just going to make the call here, going to walk the dog.
Oh, so
Love
smooth.
this play by Eddie here.
Sure. And an ace on the turn. So Gary's still with nothing.
750's a bit.
He's going to donate some more. We know that. He doesn't know it yet.
Well, 750,000 now the bet. Well, do you raise here or not? That's a question.
What a moment for Eddie Subodh from L.A., counting degree at USC, and he can figure this one out.
And another brilliant call by Eddie here.
Oh, just brilliant.
Just in case his opponent fires a third shell.
And a 7 actually gives poor Garry a little pair of 7s.
Check it.
By this time, he knows those are no good.
He's ready to throw up.
With no straight draw virtually and no flush draw out there, Garry knows this guy has got minimum king in his hand, perhaps a lot more.
And Eddie's trying to figure out how much he can extract.
Folks, that looks like about a $2 million bet right there. And Garry, you tried this hand, but Back down under with those cards.
Yeah, sometimes a turtle should just stay under the shell. Garry came out. Did not work out for him right there. But right now, Eddie Subodh taking home a big one. Beautifully done. And now the blinds are going up to 50 and 100 with an ante of 15,000. Action on Garry. He's got king 4.
Well, he is not slowing down. 225,000 here with the king 4.
Eddie going out, but look at this. 2 8s for Dan.
Well, this guy is a special player, folks. I can tell you that.
All in.
He's going to push all in, Mike.
I played with him a couple days in this tournament, and I'm telling you, I was really impressed with him.
Yeah, Garry can't call this.
I think there is very much a case of getting in the zone. This tournament, more so than others, I've been like tuning out the rest of the world, only focusing on the cards. I'm actually not sure how to regularly stay in the zone, but when you're there, it's like a special spot.
You know, he's had almost 4.6 million in worldwide earnings. Just incredible. What a player he is.
Well, just a moment ago, Garry Benson had the chip lead, but he's spewing them off quickly here.
Action on Eddie this time. And Eddie has a queen 9 of hearts. He'll raise to 200,000. Dan going out. And Garry Benson with an 8-7. He's already invested. He'll make the call. Mess around with it.
Oh, it's come 4, 5, 6. Bingo, bango, bongo for Garry's flop. The best hand possible. The 8 high straight. And it goes check, check.
Ace of spades on the turn.
Well, again, Garry checks. Hoping this guy's got an ace in his hand and will fire.
Well, he's going to fire. He's firing with nothing. 250,000.
Nice.
And here goes Garry with the raise. Yep, it makes it 600 total.
Well, Eddie's never going to call this bet. He's going to throw his hand away or raise it, and if he raises it, it could spell big trouble for him.
Eddie Subodh gets out of Garry's way. What a flop. Sometimes it pays to play those junk hands. That's what it did right there for the Aussie, Garry Benson. Well done.
It's time to take a quick break, but we'll be right back with more from Bellagio, including Tony Dunst giving us the raw deal. So stay tuned.
This episode of the World Poker Tour is brought to you in part by DraftKings. If you like poker and sports, then you're going to love daily fantasy sports at DraftKings. Go to DraftKings.com, enter promo code WPT, and start playing today.
Welcome back to the World Poker Tour. Here at Bellagio, we had 449 entrants in this event, creating an over $4.3 million prize pool.
There's a lot of players, a lot of money, and you, sir, were one of them, and you made the money again. You beat 90% of the field, Mike. I'm impressed.
Man, I hung on again, Vince. Anytime you make a plus in a poker tournament, you can't complain.
And someone else that can't complain is Amy Barish from Buffalo, New York. She won her way. She got a seat here in this event on the World Poker Tour, playing on ClubWPT.com.
Yeah, and Vince, I'll tell you, she played at my table for at least a half a day one day. She played very good, had a couple 100,000 in chips. Then she picked up 2 aces. She 3-bet my friend Jean-Robert Belland. He called her. He had a king 10. He outdrew her on the river to win a big pot. Otherwise, Amy could have still been sitting here at this table, maybe. You never know.
I tell you what, it was kind of exciting, her playing. To be honest with you, she held her own in this super tough field. She should be real proud of herself. I felt her getting better as she played. That's very, very cool.
That would have been some effort. And you too can play with ClubWPT.com just for a small monthly fee. You'll play for all the cash and prizes each month. On top of that, you can win a seat on the World Poker Tour in the main event. Let's get back down to the field.
Well, there you see the chip counts. Eddie Subodh well out in front now with 7.3 million. Garry Benson in second with 3.9 million, and Dan Smith, who came to this final table as chip leader, now on the short stack with 3 left.
Action's on Dan. He's got king 7.
I'm going to raise. That's all right.
He's going to make it 200,000. And right behind him, the Aussie, the slot machine king, Garry Benson with an ace-5.
Well, Garry was the first Australian to win a World Series of Poker bracelet. Also an inaugural inductee into the Australian Poker Hall of Fame, so the guy's got credentials.
He's called it. Eddie releases that hand, so 2-way action, ace-5. versus King 7. And it's an ace-king deuce.
Great flop for Garry. He's got top pair.
Gonna check it.
Dan's got second pair.
Check.
Dan, too smart for that.
Wow.
Checks his kings. Here we go to the turn.
What a nice check by Dan Smith there.
Jack of hearts on the turn. Wow, Garry checking again. Chess man very patient. And he's going to get Dan to bet.
Well, you can't blame him for betting. His opponent might have a queen or a 10 in his hand. You can't let him draw it his hand for free.
250.
You just never think a guy's got an ace in his hand. Didn't raise before the flop and hasn't bet yet.
Can backfire when you don't bet your hands, but it does it this time as a 6 of spades on the river. And Garry's going to check again.
Well,
check.
Dan wisely checks on the river. Garry shows the aces and takes down the pot. Played those aces about as conservative as you can.
This is a good country, this one.
Well, Dan Smith's got a number of friends that have won WPT titles, but if he's going to win one, he's going to have to get going, because right now he's in third place with 3 players left.
People often ask me what the deal is with the elbows. They're nubs. It's a new version of the high five. I invented these with Mike Watson, and it seems to caught on, and a lot of my friends now after wins, most notably Scott Seaver when he won the WP Championship, had that picture with throwing his nubs up. That got in the local paper, which was pretty cool. Hopefully tonight I'll be throwing my nubs up.
Events, they're doing a little nubbing, those champions, these young guys are. Only nubbing I know about is a short stack.
All right. Right now, Garry Benson first to play.
Cool.
And he is calling with King 4, and right behind him, Eddie Subodh with a pair of 8s. Eddie's the chip leader. And he's going to raise it with the 8s, 450 to go. Mr. Nub himself has an ace-10 this time.
It was called on the button. Raised out of the small blind. Dan has a short stack. What to do here?
All in.
Well, there's your answer.
Yeah.
Just ship it.
I'm all out.
Well, as he goes away.
Well, Eddie says count it. Eddie knows if he'd win this pot, he'd have Dan Smith out of his hair.
Well, he's made the call.
He'd had over a 2-1 chip lead, playing heads up for the title. He's made the call. Now can he win the race?
Dan Smith, the poker pro, 24 years old, out of Vegas. You know, he quit college after 1 year, decided to play poker full time. It's paid off in a big way for this young guy, but right now he needs a little luck.
Invariably, after all the play, it comes down to a race to see if you can live on in a poker tournament.
Wow. 2 young guys with a big title on the line right now with 5 cards to come.
Jack 9-3.
Well, it's come Jack 9-3. So far, so good for Eddie. The 2-8 still out front.
Certainly are. Nothing hitting for Dan.
You can see Dan anxiously hoping to hit something to stay alive. And he does! An ace on the turn. Dan Smith has taken the lead in this pot. Eddie must catch an 8 on the river to eliminate Dan.
What a 4th Street. Incredible. Down to the river. Can an 8 show up? Let's see. Nope.
Well, the 4 diamonds. And Vince, give Dan Smith credit. If he just calls with the ace-10, he's going to get bet out of the pot on the flop and lose the hand. By moving all in, he gave himself a chance to see 4th Street and the river to win that pot. Dan Smith doubles up. We still have 3 players left.
Stay tuned. We'll be right back with more from Bellagio.
Season 12 of the World Poker Tour is brought to you by ClubWPT.com, where VIP members can win their share of $100,000 in cash and prizes every month. ClubWPT.com. Never lose a dime playing poker, guaranteed.
Welcome back to Bellagio and the World Poker Tour, where 3 players remain. And just before the break, we saw Dan Smith and Eddie Subodh go head-to-head in the monster hand of the day. Dan Smith saw his tournament life slipping away, and it was all on the line when he was in a coin flip situation against Eddie Subodh. With just 2 cards to come, Dan spiked a monster card, the Ace of Spades, which put him back in contention for this title and keeping this a 3-man race to the finish.
Well, they're the 3 players we have left. Eddie Subodh out in front,
5.3 million. Garry Benson from Australia. Second with 4.3. Dan Smith, 3.9.
The title up for grabs right now. Action on Eddie Subodh. He's got ace 10.
I said, you know that Eddie has a superstition that once a tournament starts, if he's doing well, wears the same pants every day.
Okay. Sorry to hear it. But right now he's raised, and behind him, Dan has ace 9.
But Dan plays a little more conservative than people think in certain situations. This being one of them, just calls here.
Okay. Now Garry Benson already has 100 in there. He says for another 100.
Yeah, 545 in the pot. Why not call another 100? Three-way action.
And the flop is an ace, queen, 8. Oh, boy.
Well, Dan and Eddie flop top pair. Gary's flop middle pair. But Dan and Garry check.
This could get expensive. Here goes Eddie. He's making the bet 325. Gotta pay to play if you want to play with Eddie.
Well, again, Dan just calls, does not raise. It's like an easy getaway here for Garry. But he's going to make the call, too. I'm a little surprised by this.
I am, too.
And I say that because one of them might not have something, but you figure the other guy's got an ace. Why would you want to put your money in there with just 2 queens against 2 players?
10 of diamonds on the turn. That gives 2 pair for Eddie Subodh, aces and 10s.
Well, again, Dan checks his aces. Gary's looking back. He has a gut shot straight draw now.
Well, he's checked into Eddie. And here comes the bet. He's betting 700,000.
Dan makes a good lay down to get away from his hand.
Eddie Subodh, I definitely respect. I think he's a pretty tough opponent, and I know when he's involved in a hand, he's got a big hand, so you need to be wary.
So Eddie Subodh increases his chip lead, takes down a good pot there.
We've reached the midway point of season 12 on the WPT, and the Player of the Year race is still wide open. Tonight's champion will earn 1,400 coveted points, putting him at the top of the leaderboard. However, closely behind will be a number of talented players looking to jump into the lead as we enter the second half of the season. We'll continue to keep you posted on the Player of the Year standings as the race kicks into high gear. But now, let's get back to the action with Mike and Vince.
Yes, it'll be fun to see who will become the Player of the Year. What an honor here on the WPT.
Well, certainly all 3 of these guys in the hunt now with the finish in this tournament.
All right. Garry Benson with a quick fold, and now Eddie Subodh, our chip leader with an ace deuce.
Right, limps in with the ace high.
And Dan Smith now with just a jack 6 of diamonds.
275.
Well, most people will be happy to get a free flop with that hand, but not Dan. He thinks his opponent's just not that strong because they didn't raise before the flop. Going to try to bet him out of it. Makes it 275 to go, but gets called by Eddie.
The flop is a king 8 deuce, all diamonds.
Dan has flopped a flush, but Eddie's got a pair in the nut flush draw. Buckle up, folks. We could see a lot of fireworks right here, right now.
Eddie's checked. Dan bets, of course, 300.
You would think a raise would be coming here with the nut flush draw on a pair, but no. Just a call by Eddie. I would have raised it there had it been me. 10 of hearts comes off.
Doesn't change a thing. Eddie checks again.
And Dan with the flush, reaching for more chips.
Yep, he's bet 700,000 with the flush. Will the raise come now?
It does not. Makes the call. And a deuce comes off. This gives Eddie 3 deuces and could spell big, big trouble for him. He's just checked and called with the nut flush draw twice. Now he's got 3 deuces. He is beat, of course. Dan with the flush. Let's see how much he's going to bet.
On.
Well, there's your answer.
He has gone all in.
I don't think I've found any weaknesses in Dan's game. You're going to have the goods if you go up against Dan Smith.
I don't think you're bluffing, Dan.
Tough decision here for Eddie, but Vince, this is just too hard a hand to get away from, I think.
Now, if Eddie does call, though, he will lose, and Dan will become the new chip leader again. Can it be Eddie taking his time?
This is why I love poker. You just never know.
Well, the one advantage to laying it down is you still have the big chip lead with 3 left, but if you make the call and win the pot, you got a huge chip lead with 2 left. And the toughest guy at the table out.
Okay, Dan, I call.
Eddie's gonna make the call, and it's a mistake.
Oh, he flopped it. Nice, Dan.
Dan turns it over to the pain and loathing of Eddie Subodh. Oh, that's gotta hurt.
And Dan Smith doubles up and takes the chip lead.
It does. He was in the bottom of the barrel, but daring Dan back out in front with a huge pot. Stay tuned. We're coming back with more action here on the World Poker Tour.
Welcome back to the World Poker Tour's coverage of the Doyle Brunson 5-Diamond World Poker Classic. Right now, it's time to take a closer look at tonight's play. So let's check in with Tony Dunst as he breaks it all down in this edition of The Raw Deal.
How many times in your life have you told a woulda, shoulda, coulda story about poker? You know that kind of story. When you found yourself in an enormous pot deep in a tournament and you just should have known. Why? Most players have plenty of those stories, and I think it's a very natural reaction to the illusion of control poker instills in us. But was there really something different we could have done? Or can you chalk those spots up to that's poker? Let's break it down. Young professional Eddie Subodh has played well through this final table thus far, and he's been intentionally keeping the pot small when out of position against Dan Smith. This is a common and practical tactic among pros who respect each other. So it was no surprise to see Eddie opt for a limp call with his ace-deuce in the small blind against Dan in the big blind. The flop comes king, 8 deuce, all diamonds, which gives Eddie bottom pair and the nut flush draw, but gives Dan a flopped flush. Skill game. Eddie has only 2 choices on the flop, check call or check raise, and I like his decision to just check call. I don't think Dan will bluff off his stack with many hands on a monotone board, so the flop going check, bet, call makes perfect sense. The turn brings the 10 of hearts, and when Eddie checks, Dan fires a healthy 700,000 into the pot. Eddie's hand and draw are still too strong to fold, so he makes the call and receives an awkward river, the deuce of clubs, which gives him trips and a hand of disguised strength. When Eddie checks, Dan makes the only sensible bet available to him, all in for 2.3 million and just under pot. Eddie has an awful decision here. Not only did his hand improve in strength, but his holding the ace of diamonds blocks many of the potential flush combinations for Dan. And Eddie only needs to be good about 1/3 of the time to make his call profitable. So after weighing all these factors, he stacks up the chips and reluctantly calls. When Eddie sees Dan's flush, he feels the disappointment of knowing what's been lost. Not only a huge pot and the chip lead, but control over the final table. And as he watches Dan stack the chips that were once his, he'll inevitably wonder, was there anything different I could have done? Nah.
Well, the only thing I might have done different is get all the money in on the flop with a pair and the nut flush draw, but it would have been the same result. Dan Smith doubling up.
Dan Smith now the chip leader, 7.1 million in chips. 3 players down the stretch here at Bellagio. Action on Eddie, he folds his hand. And now Dan with an uneventful 9-8 offsuit.
250.
But he'll raise with it, 250 to go.
Garry looks down at the queen 4 spades. He's in position here, so he's going to make this call. And we're going to have a flop.
9-8 versus queen 4, and the flop is a king 4-7. 4s for Garry. Nothing for poor Dan.
Well, Dan is going to continue to bet. 275,000. And Garry with bottom pair is going to make the call.
4th Street is an ace of hearts. Helps neither player.
Well, will Dan try to represent aces now? Nope. He's just going to sort of wave the flag. He checks.
Garry, we know, is out in front with the 4s.
Well, he'll probably be happy just to check it down.
Well, that's what he's going to do. He's going to check, go to the river.
Oh, an 8 comes off.
Boy.
This gives Dan the best hand with 2 8s. But he's going to be happy to check it down.
I think I got there.
As will Garry. You did get there indeed. Garry says, you got to be kidding me. This guy hit an 8 on the river to beat me. Gosh, dog it.
Dan Smith.
Yeah.
He's 24 years old. He's made close to $5 million in poker earnings. A guy that quit college after 1 year saying, wait a second, forget this college stuff. I found my niche. It's this little game that I play around a table and take people's money. All right, on to this hand. Garry Benson with the decision. He's got King 7. And he will raise it. Makes it $200,000 to go. Eddie Subodh out. And Dan Smith, our chip leader at this point with a King 9, will call. Here we go with the flop. It is an 6-6-8. Helps neither player. Dan is checked.
Well, Garry is going to bet here. $250,000. And Dan is going to make the call.
He is slopping around, but a king hits. They both have kings now, of course.
Well, Dan also has a flush draw with his kings.
They both check again. And a 9 on the river.
Dan Smith hit the top 2 pair and the last 2 cards.
He certainly did, and now he's coming out with a bet. 550 fires into Garry.
Well, Garry can't wait to call here, I promise you.
And he does so. Not going to like it.
He makes the call. He sees what's happened here.
Yeah.
He was out-kicked anyway, but
yeah.
chances are it would have been a split pot most of the time.
Garry's he's shaking his head saying, can I look at that again?
Oh, boy.
Dan Smith now on a good rush of poker as the three-handed poker continues here at Bellagio. Stay with us. We're coming back with more action here on the World Poker Tour.
Sorry, Mike.
Good luck. You know he's all good.
Just aces, huh? That's all?
All right, guys. Well, that's going to do it for the Season 10 WPT Player of the Year, Joe Sirok.
Welcome back to Bellagio and the World Poker Tour.
Well, while poker's spread all over the world and it's a global game, like the center and the heart of poker has been Las Vegas since the 70s, and that still holds true. Bellagio, where Bobby's room is the pinnacle. That's where people still dream of getting to and playing in. So having a tournament here is the mecca, if you will. Again, like I said, poker's everywhere now, but this is still the mecca.
That's the great Daniel Negreanu giving his opinion of this amazing event here.
Well, he's the former champion of this event, along with some other great players: Gus Hansen, Antonio Esfandiari, Joe Hashem, Chino Ream, Eugene Ketcheloff. We've had some great ones win this tournament. One of these 3 guys looking to get on that list.
All right, Mike. The antes have gone up to 20,000. Blind 60, 120. Quick fold by Garry Benson. And now Eddie Subodh
120
with an ace-6, just calling. Interesting.
He just seems to play so conservative when he's in a hand against Dan. I think you have to raise here with ace-high.
Dan also content to see the flop, and the flop is a queen 9-5. That's 9s for Dan Smith. Eddie is checked.
How is Dan Smith running right now? My golly. And Dan is going to bet the 2 9s.
Yeah, 150,000. Eddie's calling, though.
Well, he calls with just the ace-high.
Going to the turn 7 of clubs. And Eddie checks. Dan's going to check behind him this time to the river card. 4 of diamonds. Dan out in front. Eddie's checking.
I'm sure Dan feels the 2 9s are the best hand by now. He's going to make a little value bet of $275,000 here. And Eddie with just the ace-high. He's got to hope Dan's got something like King Jack or Jack 10 here. Busted the straight draw. And he's going to look him up with ace-high, but it's not going to be any good as Dan shows him a 2 9s and takes down the pot. And you just wonder, had Eddie raised pre-flop, would Dan have even seen a flop? I don't know.
Sometimes you try to disguise your ace high. You play it tricky, it backfires. Happened there.
Well, Dan Smith now has over 10 million in chips. His opponents both have less than 2 million.
Eddie Subodh from Los Angeles. And this time Eddie's got ace-9. He's going all in with it.
Well, I don't blame him here.
And Dan behind him has a pretty solid king-queen of spades.
Call.
Yes, he's called.
Well, he can well afford to make this call.
Certainly does. There's Eddie's girlfriend Melissa in the audience sweating her man. Garry gets out of their way. So they turn up the cards.
Well, Eddie has the best hand. Almost a 3-2 favorite to double up here and stay alive. Melissa likes it.
Yeah.
Look, Dad. Fun freaking game.
What a moment for these two young guys.
Well, he knows how good Dan is running right now, and he's saying to himself, come on, let my hand hold up just once here.
Two highly respected young poker players going after a title. It's coming down to this. A king hits on the flop. King Jack 6. Dan takes the lead. Melissa hates it.
Well, Dan's playing well, running well. You're just not going to beat that combination.
Turn card. It's a 3 of clubs. No help for Eddie.
Well, he stands up, knows he has to catch an ace on the river, or he's out of here in third place.
Yeah, counting major from USC. Can figure the numbers. Can he figure out hitting an ace here on the river? That's what he needs, Mike.
You're pulling that one time in.
Dan praying that he doesn't. Let's take a look. It's a 10 of spades.
Tough luck for Eddie Subodh. Got his money in with the best hand, but it just shows you when a guy's on a roll like Dan Smith, you outdraw your opponents too. Eddie Subodh is going to go home, Vince, and say, I had it. The guy, I had 2-8 versus an ace-10, 3 blanks on the flop. He caught an ace to double up right. I had the big lead.
Absolutely brutal, Mike. Eddie Subodh out in third place, 436,000 richer. A great effort, a fine poker player. But he's gone. He's talking to Matt Savage.
Eddie said it was a dream of yours to make a WPT final table and take the title. How hard is it to come so close, have the chip lead, and then not take it down?
It was my dream, and even third place still feels kind of good. I'm not gonna lie, it still feels good. But and there's always, I'm pretty sure if I check the schedule, there's more WPT events. So.
Definitely more WPT events coming right around the corner. LAPC right around the corner as well. I'm sure we'll see you in your hometown of LA.
Yes,
but the good news is at least you get to go home and change your pants. Isn't that right, Melissa?
Yes.
All right, they're coming back. All right, back to you, Len.
I might not watch it still.
We are close to crowning the Season 12 Doyle Brunson 5-Diamond World Poker Classic Champion. Will it be Dan Smith or Garry Benson who takes down the title? Find out when we return on the WPT. Club WPT is the only place where you can play as much poker as you'd like to win a share of $100,000 in cash and prizes every month without the downside risk. ClubWPT.com, never lose a dime playing poker, guaranteed. Welcome back to Bellagio and the WPT Doyle Brunson 5-Diamond World Poker Classic, where the heads-up battle is about to begin between Dan Smith and Garry Benson. While the Royal Flush girls Jeannie and Brittany bring out the money, let's hear what both players had to say to Matt Savage during the break.
Garry, you came to Bellagio not even knowing there was a poker tournament this week. How do you feel about your week so far?
Look, I got to admit I'm pretty happy. Even once I made the decision to enter it, if you told me I was going to be heads up playing for the title, I'd definitely take it.
You've been playing poker longer than Dan's been alive. How do you feel about your experience going into this heads-up match?
Look, if it all came down to experience, there's no doubt I'd win. But unfortunately, he's got the 7-1 chip lead and he plays pretty good. And I'm not going to go down without a fight, but yeah, he's got a big advantage, but I'll be trying to do my best.
All right, we'll see what happens. Good luck,
Exactly.
Garry. Dan, you came in with a big chip lead, and then it got a little bit dicey. How are you feeling right now? Better than it was about 30 minutes ago. And now you're back in the chip lead with a big heads-up lead. But this guy's got a lot of experience. How do you feel about that match?
I have more chips. I like my chances, but anything can happen.
All right. Are we going to see the nubs tonight?
I hope only if I win.
Only if you win. All right.
A big chip lead right there by Dan Smith. He's got nearly 12 million in chips. Garry Benson starting out with 1.7 million.
Dan Smith, 24 years old. Garry Benson, 56. And Garry Benson now with an ace-8.
He just limps in, does not raise here.
Trying to get tricky with that.
And the short stack.
Dan with a queen 5 of clubs.
Maybe he's hoping Dan raises here and he's going to ship it all in, but
yeah,
I am surprised that you give a great player a free flop, especially when you have ace high on the button.
Well, Dan has just called, and we are going to see the first 3. And it is a queen for Dan.
You give him a free flop, that's what happens to you.
Check, check, they go. And an 8 of diamonds on the turn. Now that gives Garry 8s.
That might spell trouble for him.
Could get him more involved, that's for sure. Now Dan's coming out with a bet of 175.
And sure enough, Garry makes the call. So we are going to the river.
And the river card is a 4 of diamonds. Doesn't help Garry.
3 diamonds on the board.
Dan with top pair. Gonna put in the old value bet, 375. Saying, pay me off, sir, pay me off.
Well, Garry thinking about doing just that, of course. Send the guy back door a flush. Did he really have queens? Would he bet 2 10s if he had them here?
Wow, he's going to call this.
Well, curiosity call, he calls him. Dan proudly turns up a 2 queens and takes down the pot.
And that is really going to be big trouble for Garry Benson. He is getting whittled away right now. Dan Smith, oh so close, but putting his name on the WPT Champions Cup.
Calling.
Call. Gary's got a pair of 4s, has gone all in. Dan with king 10 has made the call. We've got the showdown.
Well, we've got another race. This time it's for Gary's tournament life. He's got the pair, Dan's got the 2 overcards.
They get up from their seats.
Dan won the key race when he had to double up to stay alive. Now can he win one to end the tournament?
Oh, man.
I still didn't get a card bigger than a 6, so you can create the flop below 6 as well.
Garry giving orders to the dealers, keep them low.
Young Dan Smith with an opportunity of a lifetime. This is the Doyle Brunson 5 Diamond World Poker Classic. It's all on the line right now.
Everybody on their feet. Here comes the flop.
A 10!
10 right on the flop. Wow.
That's a title flop right there. 10's out in front for Dan.
Vince, the guy is playing great and running great. Tough combination to beat. But it's not over.
Club.
Gary's praying for the 4. 2 cards to come. 4th Street coming up right now.
Turn cards at 9 of diamonds.
9 of diamonds comes off. We are down to the river. Garry Benson must catch a 4 on the river. Needs a Colt 44 or he's going to be shot down as our runner-up.
Oh boy, he needs a 2-outer on the river to stick around. Otherwise, young Dan Smith, daring Dan Smith, will take down this title. Let's go to the river.
Any 4 will do, dealer.
Here come the nubs. Here come the nubs.
Just let me know.
Well, we're about to see the Dan Smith nub.
River card.
It's a 7. There you go. Dan Smith has done it. He has captured his first WPT title.
Incredible comeback by Dan Smith. He has done it. He's our champion right now.
Gary, you've come a long way and you had a great week. Was it worth the trip?
Oh, definitely worth the trip, Matt, yeah.
Well, I got to tell you, you are a legend of the game, but I think you lost to a pretty formidable opponent tonight.
Yeah, look, Dan played very well. He's a worthy champion, and congratulations to him.
All right, thanks a lot, Gary. Hope to see you again on the World Poker Tour.
I'll have to be back.
Mike, over to you.
We're with the champion of the Doyle Brunson 5 Diamond World Poker Classic, Dan Smith. Yeah. Dan, you're just 24 years old, but you've won big-time poker tournaments all around the world, but I know how thrilled you must be to take down your first WPT title.
This is really special. I'm a complete loss for words. This was awesome. My sister was able to make it out, which was great. I'm just overwhelmed.
And Dan, in addition to over 1.1 million that you get, and you're entering the WPT World Championship tournament at the end of the year,
You also get your name inscribed on the WPT Champions Cup with all these great players. I know you're excited about that.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. And it's heavy.
Now, before we let you go, we want to see what you're famous for. Show us that Dan Smith nub.
I get one?
There it is, right there. Congratulations one more time to Dan Smith, our champion. Lynn, back to you.
So there you have it. Dan Smith is the Season 12 WPT Doyle Brunson 5-Diamond World Poker Classic champion. For Mike Sexton, Vince Van Patten, Tony Dunst, the Royal Flush Girls, and everyone at the World Poker Tour, I'm Lynn Gilmartin. See you next time on the WPT.
I don't understand what this is for here. The World Poker Tour is brought to you by ClubWPT.com. Never lose a dime playing poker. Guaranteed.
In Atlantic City, a classic tournament returns, where there is history in the making and millions on the line. Tonight on the WPT.
Well, the crowd all standing.
He is circling the drain.
They are going bare knuckles in the center of the ring.
He needs the extreme miracle.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Lynn Gilmartin, and welcome to the return of WPT's coverage of the Borgata Poker Classic. The World Poker Tour first televised this tournament years ago, and the episodes became instant classics. Great champions graced the screen, including Michael the Grinder Mizraki, Johnny World Hennigan, and Gavin Griffin, the first player to win the elusive Triple Crown of Poker. Well, this season we're back, and a huge field showed up to compete for this title in what will undoubtedly become another classic here on the WPT. Our second visit to Atlantic City in Season 12 brought out a ton of familiar faces for Day 1A. And the field included one player who was not as familiar as he may have hoped, last season's champion of this event, Andy Huang.
I wish it had been on TV. I felt like it was a pretty good final table, put on a pretty good performance. Would have been good for TV. It was definitely exciting. Obviously, biggest win of my life.
To make it to the televised final table this year, Andy would have to make it through what was shaping up to be another huge field at Borgata. Around the room, WPT Champions Club members in the mix were rocking out with Monster headphones, courtesy of our Monster friends.
My Monster headphones, being part of the Champions Club, you get benefits if you win these things, not just a lot of money, perks.
Players took a break in the action to pay tribute to a beloved Borgata regular who had recently passed away, little man Mike Sika.
Everybody remember Mike Sika?
Poker pros lined up to say a few words, including WPT champ Will Fiala.
He's one of the backbones of this poker room, with a few couple of dignitaries that are in this building that I'll always look up to and I'll always admire, and he's my friend. He'll be dearly missed forever and ever.
As the day progressed, 422 entrants took their shot at becoming the next member of the Champions Club. And one player began to separate himself from the pack, Miami native Lazaro Hernandez. WPT loyalist / amateur reporter Alan Kessler broke the news.
It's not lost a hand in about a year.
Near the end of the day, recent 5-Diamond finalist Eddie Subodh was put all in by ones to watch Aaron Messi. Facing elimination, Eddie contemplated a tough call.
This could be a pretty sick call.
Eddie eventually called and mucked his hand when Aaron turned over a flopped flush. Eddie hit the bricks, but would have the option of re-entering on Day 1B.
Back for tomorrow. We'll try again.
Keeping with their new tradition, Borgata gave the two top finishers a nice bonus for their play. Second place went to Florida poker pro John Racner, with fellow Floridian Lazaro Hernandez taking home $5,000 for first place. 207 players total would return for action on Day 2. Day 1B saw a new crop of players take their seats, as well as some returning players who had busted out on day 1A, including one very well-rested player, ones to watch Danny Sued.
I slept 13 hours, dude. It was awesome. I busted out last night, went to bed at 9, I woke up right now.
Looking like he just stepped off the ice, Mike Sexton arrived in a custom Devils jersey, ready to take a shot against this huge field. Mike wasn't the only character in the field, as Borgata always brings out colourful personalities of the tables.
See, now you need the wide lens for me because I got fat again.
I'm on tilt, and I'm not going to be top 10 in chips. So I'm about to get deep all in before 20 minutes up so I can get a fresh snack.
This is one of the best tables I've been at. You guys are very, very tight. The only player that wants to play is the guy over here. He can't wait to crack my ass.
Tour regular Dan O'Brien can usually sniff out a bluff, but was having trouble reading one of his opponents, actor James Woods.
It's so hard because you're a professional actor. It's not like most people are really bad at acting at the poker table, but you, in theory, should be very good.
806 entrants bought into the event on day 1B, creating a record-sized field with a combined 1,229 entrants. This is the second largest tournament in WPT history. With a prize pool of over $3.9 million, 120 players would make the money, and first place would take home nearly $850,000. With money on the mind, the battle ensued on the felt. And when the day ended, it was Massachusetts native Todd Rebello who had captured the chip lead and would earn $5,000 for his efforts. The runner-up and winner of the $3,000 bonus was Robert Boyko. He was the chip leader at the end of day 1A at the season 11 Borgata Poker Open and was hoping for better results this time.
I got out in day 2 of that one, so we'll see what happens in this one. I have to do a lot better.
The remaining players from both day 1 flights combined and took their seats on the start of day 2. Ones to watch, Jeff Grouse was feeling optimistic about his chances.
Feeling good, feeling rested, got 100,000, and today's the day. I'm gonna have 300 end the day.
Mike Sexton, though, was not too thrilled about his day 2 table draw when he found himself on the right of chip leader Lazaro Hernandez.
He lives in Miami. Laz does, Miami Heat fan. He plays stronger than the Miami Heat.
There you go. Me and LeBron are right there. We gotta watch out for
I'd rather play
Kevin.
LeBron one-on-one than him right now. Boy, he's running around here.
Jeff Grosse's table-mate James Woods didn't have as many chips as Lazaro, but he wasn't about to be bullied around.
Monster. Trying to steal from you with a 2,000 bet on the turn. You dog.
As the field began to thin out, the chip leader remained the same. Lazaro continued his dominant performance as he built his chip stack, even knocking out Mike Sexton with a monster hand, as James Calderero witnessed.
Ace-9-9. Mike shoves all in. He sits for a little bit and says, I got a call. You know, because I'm up. Mike shows he's king. He shows him quad 9s. He's hit every hand he's played. Every hand he's played.
Tough pro Shannon Shaw then found himself sitting in Mike's old seat and facing an all-in bet from Lazaro. After some careful thought, Shannon made the call and saw that he was dominating Lazaro with his ace-king. Shannon looked safe to double up, but the words of James Calderero still lingered in the poker room.
He's hit every hand he's played.
Oh my God.
A queen on the turn gave Lazaro the lead, and a blank on the river knocked Shannon out of the tournament, and he made a hasty retreat. At the end of day 2, 188 players remained, with Lazaro Hernandez still in the lead, with over $750,000 in chips. Day 3 would see the field make the money after losing nearly 70 disappointed players. As players bagged their chips, we caught up with James Woods, who had recently busted, but shared an old Hollywood story involving a familiar face to the WPT.
I shouldn't say this poor Joe Pesci because he's one of my best friends, but when I was doing casino, I said to Marty Scorsese, I said, Marty, Joe Pesci? I mean, come on, playing a gangster? I don't think so. You got to get Vince McPatten. And you know what's interesting? You know what Marty said, which was really weird? He said, who?
I'm funny. How am I funny? Funny like a clown? Do I amuse you? Get the heck out of here! You disrespect my friend like that, you shut up!
I mean, honestly, who do you think is tougher? Joe Pesci squeezing guys' eyeballs out of his head with a vice, or a Vince.
Scorsese's loss is the poker world's gain. Day 3 was moving day at Borgata, with short stack players hoping to squeeze into the money or head home with nothing to show for themselves. Recent 5-diamond finalist Shawn was low on chips, but not on confidence.
Only one way to go but up, so got nothing to lose now.
The early levels saw lots of players eliminated, including Jeff Grouse, who got it in with a strong hand, only to be called by better.
I had 25 bigs, ace-queen suited on the button, woman opened, she had aces, I shoved, became ace-queen. I mean, it's gonna go broke there no matter what.
In addition to the pride and money, the winner of the Borgata Poker Classic would also take home a special pair of Monster 24K headphones, a worthy crown for the champion of this tournament. The money bubble was rapidly approaching, and it was no surprise that chip leader Lazaro Hernandez was applying pressure. On the stone bubble, Lazaro got involved in a hand with Party Poker online qualifier Dale Jameson. After Dale checked the king-high flop, Lazaro shoved all in. Dale went into the tank and finally made the call. At risk, he needed a spade or a deuce to take the lead. No help on the turn or the river knocked Dale out of the tournament and sent the remaining 120 players into the money. With the bubble burst, we quickly lost Season 9 Player of the Year, Andy Frankenberger, and a crestfallen Aaron Massey.
Mad, disappointed. I really thought I was going to go deeper, but I still got a lot of work to do on my game. I feel like I could have played better.
One player chipping up on day 3 was Champions Club member Jared Jaffe.
Basically chipped up every level so far, hoping to make another deep run.
Good game, guys.
The field continued to shrink with bust out after bust out. And one player having trouble was Lazaro Hernandez. We saw Byron Carverman double through Laz not once, but twice. And Byron was looking for the knockout blow. Lazaro moved all in with ace-deuce and was called by Byron's ace-queen. After both players paired their ace on the flop, Laz was looking for some help. A 9 on the turn took away his chance to win the pot, and Lazaro needed an ace, king or 9 to chop. But a jack on the river knocked him out of the tournament and ended his incredible run.
No excuses, you know. It's my fault. I should have held my stack, you know. I was a chip leader, even going into the day today, you know. And I was up there twice, 2 or 3 times, but I lost some good hands and I gave away some chips. That's the price you pay.
The day ended with 36 players still in the hunt for the WPT Champions Cup. Colombian Fareed Jatton had taken a huge lead with over 3.8 million in chips. Jared Jaffe scored the second spot on the leaderboard with over 2.3 million. Also remaining were 2 past WPT Players of the Year, Faraz Jarka and Joe Sirok, 2 players who know how to make a deep run in a tournament. With so many eliminations, who will survive to make it to the Borgata Poker Classic final table? Find out next when we return on the WPT. Welcome back to the World Poker Tour's coverage of the Borgata Poker Classic, where the largest field of the season fights for the coveted 6 seats at the final table. At the start of day 4, the 36 remaining players took their seats in the boardroom, Borgata's exclusive high-limit poker lounge. Local poker pro Anthony Mayo was enjoying the new surroundings.
A lot more comfortable with the chairs and people aren't over your shoulder. I'm mostly an online player, so it's fun to play live.
The play down to the final table went quickly as the field lost 8 players in the first 2 levels, including Season 10 Player of the Year Joe Sirok and 2-time Borgata finalist John D'Agostino. Jared Jaffe continued his impressive performance, knocking out Matthew Parry in 27th and downtown Chad Brown in 26th place. One player not gaining any traction was Season 8 Player of the Year Faraz Jarka. All in on the button with Queen Jack, Faraz was called by Anthony Mayo in the big blind with pocket kings. Anthony's kings held up and Faraz was sent packing in 22nd place. It was Fareed Jatton who held the chip lead for most of the day until Jared Jaffe went on a knockout spree. First, he busted Season 8 Borgata finalist Keith Crowder in 15th place. Then Jaffe administered the final blow to Season 11 Borgata Poker Open third place finisher Tyler Patterson, who would have to settle for 11th place. With Tyler's elimination, the remaining players combined to one table. And Poker Pros David Paredes and Anthony Mayo took control, with Anthony knocking out local pro Chris Reslock in 10th place and David ending Brian Choi's tournament in 9th. With only one elimination to go, Poker Pro Kunal Patel was seemingly in a good position with his pocket aces in a hand against Anthony Mayo after the flop. What looked like a harmless deuce on the turn led Anthony to check raise Kunal. Kunal moved all in and was quickly called by Anthony, who turned over pocket deuces. Kunal would need an ace on the river to stay alive, but the 4 of diamonds sealed his fate and knocked him out on the TV bubble in 7th place. The final table was now set, with one player who knows what it takes to be a champion and 5 tough competitors looking to make a name for themselves by etching their name on the WPT Champions Cup.
5. Just 5. That's the number of times a player has won 2 WPT titles in a single season. And tonight, WPT champion Jared Jaffe has the chance to join this very exclusive club. For analysis on this final table, we turn to our resident poker experts, Mike Sexton and Vince Van Patten. Now, Mike, do you think there is added pressure on Jared to follow up with another strong showing?
Well, I don't think there's added pressure on him, Lynn. In fact, I think his experience is a big plus for him and gives him a nice advantage at this final table. This is Jared's 4th WPT final table, and as you mentioned, he won earlier this season, so obviously the guy's playing great poker. You know, I think the guy's on a roll, and because he's been there and done it, I'm picking Jared to win again tonight.
Absolutely. And Vince, what do you make of the rest of the table?
Well, then we got 5 very back east kind of guys. You know, they're all from this area. They are rounders. They are very tough poker professionals who have always had a dream of taking home a WPT title. I guarantee you that. I'm just anxious to see who will be victorious tonight.
Okay, thanks, guys. And right now, WPT Executive Tour Director Matt Savage is standing by with the man in the spotlight, Jared Jaffe.
You could be the 6th player to win 2 WPT titles in one season. What would it mean to you to accomplish that goal?
I mean, I've never even thought I'd be in that position. The fact that I am is pretty awesome, and if I ever got the opportunity to be on a list with those names, it would be a pretty big accomplishment.
Will Jared become the 6th player to win 2 WPT titles in a single season? The Borgata Poker Classic final table is about to get started, so I'll send it back to Mike and Vince for the call of the game.
Well, these are the 6 guys left fighting it out for this title. Our chip leader, David Paredes, 9.6 million. Anthony Mayo in second with 9.4. Jared Jaffe in third. That's what they're playing for, over 842,000.
Andy's at 15,000. The blinds are 50 and 100 at this point. Here we go at the Borgata Poker Classic. Action on Anthony Mayo. He's from Philly. He's got ace-10 of spades. He'll raise with that. Makes it 225 to go. Behind him, Anthony Morella will fold his hand.
David's out as well.
It's now around to Farid Jatton. Now he's got King Jack of Hearts.
From Miami, originally from Colombia. Vince, if he wins this tournament, he'll be the first Colombian to ever take a WPT title.
He has called it. And now Mezheritsky going out. Jared Jaffe from New York won't play. So we have two-way action, 2 quality hands, and here we go flopping.
Well, only 2 guys in their 20s at this table, and they're playing this pot. Flop ace, queen, queen.
Mayo's checked his aces.
Anthony Mayo is a very fast player. Jetton in seat 6 is a very slow player, and they're always been at each other for the speed of their play, especially Mayo, upset because Jetton takes so long to play.
That is aggravating, which makes the slow player even want to slow down more.
The pace of poker, I like the game to be played at a quicker pace. The people waste time for zero reason and posture, and I feel that's what all he's doing is posturing, acting like he's thinking about the hand and really he's thinking about something else, butterflies.
Already I love this guy, Vince, Anthony Mayo.
Your kind of style. Well, Farid will make the bet. He makes it for 245, an insta-call there by Mayo with the aces, so going to the turn. Will a heart appear? Yes, it does! 8 of hearts! Mayo's going to check it. Fareed hitting his flush right there. And he's betting again, 415,000.
And again, a very quick call by Mayo.
Mayo from Philly. Needs a lot of luck here on the river. Let's see what happens. He's going to get it as a queen hits on the river, makes his full house.
He is going to bet it.
He plays really fast, man. Like, every decision is like snap, snap, snap. I mean, I really never played with someone like that, you know, but I thought it was really, like, interesting to watch, you know?
Look at this, Fareed with a good lay down there.
But Anthony Mayo taking down pot number 1, and with it, taking the chip lead.
He's the local, he's the chip leader. 6 players getting started at the Borgata Poker Classic. We'll come right back. This episode of the World Poker Tour is brought to you in part by DraftKings. If you like poker and sports, then you're gonna love daily fantasy sports at DraftKings. Go to DraftKings.com, enter promo code WPT, and start playing today.
Anthony Mayo.
Every grinder's dream is to win a WPT title. People just like me put in all the hours and hard work, and eventually it pays off. So let's hope to get it.
Coming in as chip leader, I don't feel any extra pressure. It's still a long road to go. There's a lot of good players at the final table, so I still need to pick my spots and play well and take advantage of the chips I do have and put them to good use.
I know I'm not one of the favorites. I'm not, necessarily smarter than anyone else, but I have put in a lot of hard work. If I win, maybe there would be something to be said for that.
Fareed Jatton.
I'm not cocky, but I feel very confident about my game right now. I feel in a good spot. I feel like this is the one for me.
Jared Jaffe.
I honestly couldn't feel much less pressure than I'm feeling right now. I won one so recently that, at this point, I feel like I'm playing with house money. I want to win as much as the next guy, but if I come in 6th, that's what it was meant to be. If I come in 1st, then it'll be, a dream come true.
I want to win this thing. I'm not here for 6th place, 5th, 4th, 3rd, 2nd. I'm here for 1st.
Well, there you see Anthony Mayo out on top now with 10.5 million in chips. So the speedster is heading the pack right now.
All right, card 2 out.
All right. Action on Anthony Marella.
Over to Anthony.
Works in finance out of New York. Quick fold by him.
Anthony Marella, along with David Paredes, who's acting right now, one of 3 guys at this table that have a law degree. 3 lawyers at the final.
Well, Paredes has raised to 225 with a Jack-9, a few folds.
Jared Jaffe, the 3rd lawyer at the table. He practiced law for 3 days. Said, I'm giving this up to play poker.
And Mayo is going to call it. And the flop comes up a Jack-10-7. They both hit jacks, but 3 diamonds out there.
Yeah, Mayo has got him out kicked, as you can see. 2 jacks with the ace kicker.
Mayo's checked. Paredes is going to bet. 285. Quick call. And here we go to the turn. It's an ace, making 2 pair there for Anthony Mayo.
Well, quick bet by him. I don't know how David could go any farther with this hand. His opponent could have a straight, a flush, at worst 2 aces. He is dominated, as you can see.
He doesn't care. He's making this call. 350 call. Down to the river we go.
Has to catch an 8 or a 9 to have the best hand, and the 8 of diamonds comes up, but there's 4 diamonds out there, so that should freeze both players, I would think.
Mayo from Philly going to check, and now Paredes. You would think only bets if he has a diamond. Does not. He has a little straight there. Paredes from New York City, 34 years old. They call him Gaucho.
He's made a healthy
Whoa,
bet here.
Yeah.
750,000.
He's going to try to take this away from Mayo.
Peculiar bet in my mind. You're only going to get called if your opponent has a diamond.
Mayo, we know, has just 2 pair. He is going to lay it down.
So David saying, hold the Mayo, pass me the pot. Well, Vince, I've got to tell you about somebody I met this week. That was Club WPT VIP member Andy Rizzo. She won a package on Club WPT to come down to this event, came down a little bit early, played in the ladies deep stack tournament, made a nice run in that event, and also made a splash in this main event. Wow, pretty impressive performance by Andy.
Fantastic for Andy. I mean, she had a great time, and you two at home can also do it. Just go to clubwpt.com. You know, you could possibly win a seat into one of our WPT main events. Enjoy the time. Check it out, clubwpt.com. Never lose a dime playing poker, guaranteed. Back down to the felt. Fareed Jatton out of Columbia looks down at a King 8, won't play that. Mezheritsky from Brooklyn also folds. Jerry Jaffe now won't play that hand. It's on Mayo, and he is going to raise with an ace-3 to 225. Morella going out.
Well, action on Paredes. He looks down at ace-king.
Uh-oh.
And just calls, does not raise with ace-king out of the big blind. Surprised at that. He's not exactly what you call a standard player.
Flop goes up 10-4 deuce. And Paredes is checked, and Mayo is betting 235. Straight draw for Mayo. Paredes is going to be stubborn with his ace-king, says, I'm in. Makes the call. Going to the turn, it's a deuce, pairs the board.
These are the two chip leaders going at it here.
They both check. Down to the river. It's a 7 of spades.
Again, it goes check, check. Both players happy to check down their ace high by David Paredes with the ace-king. Going to take down the pot. So back-to-back pots by Paredes.
Gaucho, 34 years old, has a law degree in New York City. Looking good right now. Are you looking for a fun, exciting place to play poker online? Then check out clubwpt.com. Enjoy all the poker you want for free.
clubwpt.com. Never lose a dime playing poker, guaranteed.
Recently in New York City, the WPT Foundation partnered with the Children's Hospital of Philadelphia at the All In for Kids poker tournament to raise money for a wonderful cause. Take a look.
Being in the position I am, I think you can do more than just play football, and that's to give back to the community and hopefully give these kids a better life. So I couldn't be more happy to be here.
Children's Hospital of Philadelphia is the nation's first children's hospital. It's been in existence since 1885. It's an institution that has 3 core missions: providing patient care, research and development, and education of future medical leaders. The Children's Hospital is one of the most important places for children to get their lives back and to have a normal childhood. This event has been going on for about 6 years right now. It was started by Dan Shack, and he had this concept that we could develop a charity poker event that would benefit Children's Hospital of Philadelphia.
I'm proud of the way the poker community has started to step up and represent.
Having a great time here. Playing with my man from the New York Giants, Justin Pugh here.
The poker community has just been fantastic, starting with Phil Hellmuth all the way down. I mean, Phil has been the MC for the entire 6 years that we've done the tournament.
We have Mike Quick, old school Philadelphia Eagles superstar. We have Jeremy Radcliffe, new school Philadelphia Eagles superstar.
We've gotten a whole host of professional poker players to come, as well as, individuals who have other careers but really love the notion of playing poker and doing it in the form of a charity event.
I'm a big fan of participating in events like this in New York City. It's a great opportunity to give back. And as I look around the room, I see a lot of faces of people I used to work with in my former lifetime of Wall Street. And it's really a nice way for me to blend both worlds and do something positive for the world in charity.
To me, it's been just a very special type of partnership.
Children's Hospital is actually a very important cause to me. My father, as a child, was very ill, spent a lot of time at the Children's Hospital of Philadelphia, and he's here tonight. He's playing too, so we're both really excited.
We're very passionate about our game, and if we're successful, the great majority of us want to share that success with people less fortunate and people in need.
This fantastic event raised nearly $750,000 for the Children's Hospital of Philadelphia. And congratulations to the event's co-founder and a very generous poker player, Dan Shack, for winning this tournament. To find out more about it and other worthy causes the WPT supports, log on to WPTfoundation.org. The game is about to start back up, so I'll send it down to Mike and Vince.
Well, Vince, we were at the Chops tournament. Just a great event. Bunch of great people there. Hats off to not only the guy that sponsors the event, Dan Shack, but the guy who won it, Dan Shack.
Yes, it was a great time. But back at the table, Wptz, guy that used to be a card dealer back in the day, now a poker pro, quickly folds, and now Jared Jaffe. With a pair of nines, will raise to 225. Mayo out. Anthony Morella.
He's on the button with ace-3, but folds it.
Around to Paredes. He has picked up the weapons of mass destruction. Pair of aces. He'll re-raise.
How good is this guy running so far?
And look behind him, Fareed from Colombia, also with a quality hand.
He's got the ace-queen suited here. It's been 3-bet in front of him.
Fareed now lives in Miami.
Fareed makes the call.
And he is going to make this call, just swelling up this pot. Back on Jared making the call.
So here we go. It was 3-bet pre-flop, and we have 3-way action.
Let's take a look. It's a king-8 deuce.
Well, just a great flop if you have 2 aces. The only way you're beat is your opponent flopped a set. Nobody has a flush draw or a straight draw, so you got to be happy with this flop.
Yeah, Paredes will bet the aces like that. 900,000. And now Fareed, he's thinking about this.
Well, he is doing it, Vince. He has raised this pot.
He's going to try to steal it. Horrible time to do so. We know. Makes it close to 1.9, and now...
Could be a saver for Jared here. It's an easy getaway now when this guy makes that raise with 2 nines, but he might have played this pot had Fareed folded this hand, but in the meantime, action back on David Paredes.
And he's going to push all in. Fareed, mistime bluff. What a gutsy move. Did not work.
Some big blows being thrown right there. And so far, everything going very well for David Paredes at this final table.
Yeah, you're right, Mike. And you know, it all started with him taking down the monster hand of the day. Against chip leader Anthony Mayo, on a scary board with 4 diamonds and an ace-high straight draw, David proved his ability to follow through with his plan, and even the most difficult of spots. Holding no diamonds, with only the baby straight, David bet $750,000, causing Mayo to muck his cards and David to rake in the 2.6 million chips of the monster pot.
Well, you can see David Paredes has done nothing but extend his chip lead since he's got to this table, sitting on 14.6 million now. Anthony Mayo in second, Jared Jaffe still in third. But right now, it's been about a one-man show so far at this final table.
Jared Jaffe folds, Mayo out. Morella also will fold his hand. Well, we got a bunch of folds in this hand. Around the horn to Fareed. And he is going to push with his hand right now with an ace-7.
Well, the ace-queen didn't work. Let's move in on the ace-7 and see what happens.
Now it's on Vlad.
This one's good.
From Brooklyn, he likes his first card, he says.
Second one, not so good.
And Mikey doesn't like his second card. He's going to fold it. And Fareed's going to get back a little bit.
I've played in Vegas, I've played in Florida. Borgata takes the cake by far.
I've been coming down to Borgata for years and years now. I love this place. They treat the poker players right.
They have the best run tournaments, best guarantees, best structures.
I really love the way they run everything. Everything is just great, man. The hotel is really nice, you know, like, I love it here.
Welcome back to Atlantic City and the beautiful Borgata Hotel, Casino and Spa. We've got a great final table going with over $840,000 going to the winner. The action is about to resume, so let's get back to the call of the game with Mike Sexton and Vince Van Patten.
David Paredes in seat 5, still well out in front with $14.6 million. Anthony Mayo in second place, and Jared Jaffe still in third.
Close to a $4 million total prize pool. Here we go, 6 players going at it. And there's the New Yorker, Anthony Morella, with a quick fold. Paredes also out, and now the Colombian. Farid not going to play.
Well, Vlad Mezheritsky from Brooklyn is on the short stack and moves all in with the ace-king.
Jared out.
Very close. We looked at a good one first, though.
And Mayo cannot call, so finally the Brooklynite going to take down his first hand this evening.
My family and I moved to the United States from St. Petersburg in 1989. Booyah! I love New York, I love Brooklyn. You know, you have to be from Brooklyn to understand. You know, there's a lot of pride that comes with you when you're from Brooklyn. Poker's just my talent. I've always been a good judge of character. I always like to watch people, and I think that was a big thing for me that helped me out as far as live poker. So I was able to beat people very well, and that was probably a big edge for me.
It's an interesting story about Vlad. Yesterday, his brother got discharged from the Marine Corps, honorably discharged from the Marine Corps yesterday. He's in the house today watching his brother at the final table.
Oh, that's great.
There is his brother, Jan. Semper Fi, my man.
On the rail, rooting his bro on. How exciting that has to be. Back down to the felt. David with a quick fold. And now Farid not going to play. Vlad now with a nothing hand.
Folds it. Action over to Jared. He is going out.
Yep, and now Mayo in the small blind. Ace-5 will raise. Makes it 275 to go. Into the other Anthony Morella, who has just a 10-9, Mike.
Yeah, we have 2 Anthonys sitting side by side.
One Anthony from Philly, the other one from New York. Battling against each other.
Makes the call.
Anthony Morella has made the call.
All right, two-way action.
The flop's 10-7-5, so Morella out-flopping Mayo there with 10s. Mayo checks into him.
Yeah, Mayo's got bottom pair, Morella's got top pair. Morella, a finance professional to undergrad at Auburn and went to Syracuse Law School.
Bets 260.
Bets 260, man. Anthony is bet 260.
Mayo with the quick call. Look at these guys staring each other down.
See the turn?
Going to the turn, 4 of diamonds helps nothing.
So possible flush, possible straight. Mayo checks. You're sitting in Morella's seat. You're never going to put him on a diamond flush. He would have check raised you if he had 2 diamonds in his hand. That didn't happen. So you're going to bet top pair, just like Morella's doing here.
Morella from New York City, only a couple hours away from Bogota. Says he loves this place. He's going to take down the pot with the 10s. Nicely done. Battle of wits going on. Back East kind of guys going after this title. Stay with us. We're coming back with more action here on the World Poker Tour.
Season 12 of the World Poker Tour is brought to you by ClubWPT.com, where VIP members can win their share of $100,000 in cash and prizes every month. ClubWPT.com. Never lose a dime playing poker. Guaranteed.
The win in Jacksonville was great. It was my first WPT championship, so it was like a huge monkey off my back. Being Player of the Year would mean a great deal to me. All these years that I've been playing these events, you know, I always follow all the Player of the Year standings. So anytime you put yourself in a position where it's within reach, it becomes something that you really want. I think anybody who says that they don't care is lying. I mean, I want to win it.
The race for WPT Player of the Year is in full swing, and we've got the current point leader right here at the final table. Jared Jaffe is guaranteed to jump into the lead regardless of where he finishes tonight, based on his performance this week. We'll keep a close eye on the standings all season long, but now let's get back to the action with Mike and Vince.
Well, there you see the chip counts. David's still well out in front. But Vince, I have to say, what Jared Jaffe said, I really like that, because when you are in the hunt for the WPT Player of the Year award, you do pay attention to it, and you do want it.
All right, back down to the money pit. Farid chatting. This time has an ace-7. First to act, he won't play that. Now it's around to the Brooklynite. And Vlad has picked up a pair of queens.
All in.
He's going all in with it. Into Jared Jaffe. He'll muck a 10-5. Mayo out. Morello not playing, and David out. And just like that, the pair of queens will take down this one.
So again, Vlad wins an uncontested pot by moving all in. Gives his brother there, Jan, who just got out of the Marine Corps, sort of a poker salute.
Action back on Vlad. This time he can't play a 7-4. And now Jared has a nice pair of 10s.
Raise to 2 1/4.
And he will raise, makes it 225 to go.
Mayo goes out.
And now Anthony Morello's picked up the queens.
Wow, nice hand on the button for him. He is getting out raising chips. He is going to 3-bet it to 595,000.
Paradis out. And I can't believe this. Fareed Jatton from Colombia has picked up kings. What a great time to do it.
Incredible. The pot's been 3-bet to him. He looks down and finds kings. And he is going to 4-bet it. He is going to make it just over 1.1 million to go.
Now it's back on Jared.
Well, pretty easy getaway here, I think, when these guys have 3 and 4 bet behind him.
On.
Oh, but look at this, Vince. He's moved all in.
What?
He's got both players easily covered.
I call.
Wow, Morello has made the call. Well, Jatton makes the call also.
Oh, they turn up the cards. What a monster pot. What are we seeing here?
Wow. 4-bet, 5-bet. Good night, ladies.
Oh, they're pushing it all around.
You're running good. You're going to hit a 10, so.
Fareed is in great shape here.
Once again,
The young Colombian with a big opportunity.
And king for Fareed.
I guess I didn't do that right.
You're at a 10 of clubs.
Well, there you hear Jared say, maybe I played this hand a little too fast. Well, we'll see. Here comes a flop.
Window 10. Boom.
Well, it's a 9-7-5 so far, so good for Fareed.
Great flop for him. He has got a great shot to triple up here.
Yep, very soft flop for him. Now he's just got to sweat the turn. Here it comes.
Let's see the turn.
Oh, and it's a 10!
Oh, the 10 of diamonds. Jared Jaffe is taking the lead with 3 10s.
Pain and torture at the Brigada.
Unbelievable.
What a diamond.
Jared, what'd I tell you, Jared?
It's diamonds, though.
Well, meaning Morello needs a queen or a diamond now to take the pot.
Fareed, very stoic. He's just taking that so beautifully. He knows he only has one outer.
Well, incredible. He had a dominating hand just a moment ago, and now with 1 to go, he's got a 1 outer.
Here comes the river card.
Well, let's see the river.
And it's a diamond!
Ace of diamonds comes off. Morello is going to win this pot. Now, Jaffe has more chips than him, so he won't be eliminated. But boy, oh boy.
Fareed has to say goodnight. Back on the Columbia Express for him. Horrible experience for Fareed. Jatton out in 6th place. Going to take home $174,000, and he's over to talk to Matt Savage.
I knew it wasn't holding when it was a 10 of diamonds.
Fareed, that's a terrible beat there. How do you react to something like that?
Honestly, like, as long as I don't make a mistake to bust. I mean, it really hurts because of the amount that we're playing for, but I feel good, you know. I've learned to win like a champ and lose like a champ. So this goes out to all the whiners out there, you know.
We don't see that attitude very often. Lynn, back to you.
Thanks, Matt. What a dramatic hand. And with Fareed Jatton out in 6th place, we conclude our first hour of coverage from the Borgata Poker Classic. But before we go, guys, the action has been wild tonight. Did you expect to see so many fireworks?
Well, Lynn, one thing's for sure. The poker has been exciting at Borgata tonight, no doubt about it. We haven't seen this much pre-flop action in quite a long time on the World Poker Tour.
Almost a double knockout. Almost a double knockout. It was sick.
The question is, Vince, will this pace continue?
It's just amazing what we're seeing. We're seeing hands we haven't seen in years.
Thanks, gentlemen. Please join us next time with more from the Season 12 Borgata Poker Classic. Until then, from Mike Sexton, Vince Van Patten, Tony Dunst, Matt Savage, the Royal Flush Girls, and everyone at the World Poker Tour, I'm Lynn Gilmartin. See you next time on the WPT.
I don't understand what this is for here. The World Poker Tour is brought to you by ClubWPT.com. Never lose a dime playing poker. Guaranteed.
A wave of players have descended on the shores of Atlantic City, but only one's championship dream will come true. Continuing coverage of the $4 million Borgata Poker Classic continues next on the WPT.
Well, the crowd all standing.
He is circling the drain.
They are going bare knuckles in the center of the ring.
He needs the extreme miracle.
Hi everyone and welcome to Atlantic City, New Jersey. I'm Lynn Gilmartin. We are in the midst of an exciting final table here at Borgata, and here to get us up to speed on where we stand, we've got Mike Sexton and Vince Van Patten. Now Mike, with 5 players left, what is the optimal strategy at this stage in the tournament?
Well, optimal strategy is the same at this final table as most others. Chip leaders like to put pressure on the short stacks. Short stacks just have to hope to get a hand, get it in, double up to stay alive, but I didn't expect to see this much action, especially pre-flop action at this final table tonight. But boy, has it been action-oriented, no doubt about it.
This is crazy times. I mean, the Borgata Poker Classic has turned into Mr. Toad's Wild Ride. I'm not kidding. What are they putting in the water here in Atlantic City? Okay, these guys are higher than the state of Colorado. This is fun.
Thanks, guys. I expect to see some more drama. So let's check the chip counts and get back to the game.
Well, David Pretty is out in front, 14.4 million. Anthony Marilla in second place, 10.7. Anthony Mayo in third with 8.4. And Jared and Vlad both on the short stack with 1.5.
Antes of 15,000, blinds 50 and 100. Action on Jared Jaffe. Quick fold by him. Anthony Mayo from Philadelphia also going out.
Round to Anthony Marilla now.
Up to Anthony.
He's a New Yorker, and he's got a pair of kings.
He's a finance professional. Went to Auburn undergrad, to Syracuse Law School. Got 2 kings here and is going to raise the pot. 225,000 to go.
Now David has a pretty solid ace, queen of spades, and he is going to re-raise. Vlad from Brooklyn out.
Oh, look at this. Marilla just calls. Does not re-raise with the 2 kings. A bit surprising to me.
Here is the flop. It's a 7-6-5. Safe for the kings.
Well, he checks him. David checks right behind him, and now a queen comes off. This could spell trouble for David. He now has top pair with top kicker. But he doesn't have the best hand as Marilla has the kings and bets 450,000.
The way Morella's been playing this hand so far, it's got his man completely trapped. It's just a smooth call there by Paredes. And the river card is an ace. Oh no! David making aces and queens. What a draw out against Marella.
Well, Marella has checked here. And you see David reaching for chips, and why not?
Doesn't realize how lucky he is.
He's going to bet 1.5 million here. Well, we thought Marilla was playing this hand very slow. It may bode well for him, Vince. As he lays his hand down here, he lost the minimum possible with that hand.
Incredible escape there by the New Yorker. And there's David's wife, Caitlin, on the rail. He's 34 years old, out of New York.
A very bright guy, Vince. Paredes went to Harvard for an undergraduate. He got a master's in fine arts and fiction writing, and then went to NYU Law School. So highly educated guy doing quite well here tonight.
Anthony Mayo out. And now it's Anthony Marella.
Well, 2 kings didn't work out, so let's try king 4.
Yeah, he's going to make it 2:15 to go. David has a pair of jacks. What hands we're seeing.
What a thorn in the side this guy's becoming. For Marilla, that's for sure.
He's going to slow play, just call, and now the Brooklynite, Vlad, used to be a poker dealer. Now he's got a big hand.
All in.
He's got ace-king. He's gone all in.
Well, I can't blame him. He's on one of the short stacks here.
Jared out.
Morella goes out, but David makes the call with the 2 jacks, and we have the race.
We have ace of clubs, king of hearts.
So Vlad Mezheritsky, all in with the ace-king, must win the race to stay alive.
It's a red race.
A couple New Yorkers going at it. Jacks versus ace-king. And there's Vlad's beautiful fiancée.
I would say he drew out there. He needs to draw out here to stay alive.
Vlad used to be a poker dealer, got sick of that when he said, these guys are winning a lot. I don't want to try it.
Everybody on their feet. Here we go.
All right, let's go to a flop. Let's see what we got.
Here we go, jacks versus ace-king. The flop is an ace and a jack. Oh, boy.
An ace in the door and a jack right behind it.
It's almost unbeatable.
David in great shape now. It's going to take 2 runners to beat him, that's for sure.
Vlad puts back on the moose head.
It's because he's heading back to the woods, Vince.
He didn't like that flop, and here we go with a turn. It's a deuce of diamonds. It's over.
So that's going to do it for Vlad. Nothing he can do about it, Vince. You're short stack. You're happy to get it in with ace-king. Just lost the race. Out in 5th place. Shaking his brother's hand. His brother just got honorably discharged from the Marine Corps yesterday, but got to win the races to win tournaments. Couldn't win it. Out in 5th place.
Right, Vlad from Brooklyn has to say goodnight. Over to talk to Matt Savage.
Vlad, you came in here as a short stack, but you picked it up another spot, come in 5th place. You pump up your bankroll a little bit. How does it feel?
I'm excited. I'm happy to be here. You know, not too many people, could say they made a WPT final table, and I'm very grateful. You
got your brother here.
Absolutely.
Just came out of the service. What has it meant to have you on here with you?
Yeah, you have no idea. I'm super excited to have him. He came here yesterday. He's supporting me, and he's a Marine, so he knows what's up. That was my security if I won.
Well, great run here. I'm sure we're going to see you again.
All right. Thank you very much.
Take care, Vlad.
Appreciate it.
Vlad Mezheritsky is our 5th place finisher, and we are now 1 step closer to crowning a champion at the Borgata Poker Classic. Let's get back to the final table.
Now, 3 lawyers out of 4 players remaining in this tournament. Jared Jaffe being one of them, of course, but
The others are Anthony Morella and David Paredes.
During law school, I started playing a ton of poker. And I think there's a strategy in understanding a legal case and putting sort of logical steps together that correlates to poker pretty well.
They do teach you how to think a little bit of a different way when you're in law school. You can kind of come at something from a different angle that you may not have seen otherwise.
People that are drawn to law may be more likely to be good at analyzing situations and processing information, and I think that's essentially what poker boils down to, being able to figure out exactly what your opponent's trying to do, trying to think about their perception of your range, and sort of going back and forth in a psychological game.
Poker's a lot more fun than law, so I'm glad to be playing poker professionally and not being a lawyer.
Well, at this final table, David is the top legal eagle. He's perched atop the chip count right now.
I'll tell you, Mike, I'd rather take the hourly lawyer rate if you ask me.
Pretty incredible that all these guys want to be poker pros instead of lawyers, but I would recommend to everyone who's anticipating on becoming a poker pro, go to law school first if you can, like these guys.
All
Look at this, Jared Jaffe going all in with the king jack. Now Mayo behind him. Can't play an 8-4, he folds. Morella from New York, he has an ace-8 of hearts.
Well, it's one of those borderline hands. Do you play or don't you? You have him well covered in chip count.
2 New Yorkers gonna battle for this. Will Anthony Morella make a great call here?
Started with 1-4, right? Or 1-3. Call.
Yes, he's made the call.
Well, he is out in front with the ace high. If his hand stands up, we'll be down to 3 players. Jared Jaffe must win this pot to keep his hopes alive of capturing his 2nd WPT title this season.
Jared Jaffe learned to play poker in his dad's garage home games. His poker life on the line as a 9-4-3 flops. Ace out in front.
Well, his dad Milt, mom Ellen in the house here. Rooting Jared on, but he needs some help after that flop. Looking for a Picasso card, needs a paint here.
He needs some luck. An ace, that's going to do it.
There you go, Jared drawing dead. Jared Jaffe looking for his second WPT title this season. Not going to get it tonight.
Jared Jaffe, a WPT champion, out in 4th place, will take home $258,000. Let's see what he has to say.
Jared, not really the result you wanted today, but I know that everybody's going to want to know what you were thinking about when you had those 10s.
I mean, honestly, I think that was the only move right there. I mean, I don't think I could play the hand any different, to be honest with you. It was just unfortunate they both woke up with hands.
And then the emotion of that hand. When you catch the 10 on the turn, what are you thinking at that spot?
It's diamonds, though. I think there's probably going to be a diamond on the river.